What's going on, everybody? Hey. I'm here. Welcome in. What's going on, fellas? Hope everybody's been having a good day. The Pope is live on Associated Press carrying a cross. It's good for him. Talking about Iran again? No, I get... no, we're starting with a little bit of everything. We'll have a fun day today. We'll have racial discussions, dating discussions, New World Order discussions. It's going to be a pretty chill day. We're going to let Iran shake out a little more. There's stuff probably going to be happening over the weekend in the next couple of days. Clearly, we're still launching a bunch of missile strikes. I saw they downed the F-15. So remains to be seen, boys, exactly what's going to shake out from all of this, to be honest, over the weekend. Is this live? We are massing a bunch of units over there, though. Up to 50,000 from what I saw. So make of that what you will. Okay, let's get into it. Let me make sure I got everything here connected. Okay, cool, ready to rock. All alerts, everything is functioning now. We're good. We've been coding up a storm. Let me just pull up the kick. Dope.
At Count Chad the Impaler donated $5. I prefer the Ankh to the cross of the Pope. The pyramids will be standing long after Western 104 crumbles into ruin thanks to the elites.
Oh, Western civilization. Why the hell did she say 104 for that? Thanks, brother, for the 5. I wonder who built the pyramids. Wouldn't that be interesting to find out, huh? That'd be nice, actually. Should we start with this long one? It's an hour in. No, let's just start. We got Karen's fighting. Yeah, this one's not part of what we're doing today. We have, should we just, fuck it. We'll go deep in. We'll go start with race. Let's just get racial. Why not? So this is a 2-minute clip. And then we have a 3-minute clip. And then this guy right here, poor dude. Having racial preferences in dating are racist. My white women's, please love me.
Guys, they are literally coming for the white women. Like, what do you not understand about that? The adult men are leaving their homelands and coming to Europe with the dream of being with white women. And when they realize that white women aren't, in fact, complete sluts like they've been led to believe and aren't eager to run out there and get involved with a bunch of disgusting foreigners, then they just rape them.
Oy.
We really
Starting
have
strong
stopped this
there.
from happening, by the way. There's this like giant study that came out. Is it a match? The congruence of partnership preference between Syrian and Afghan refugees and the German population. It's basically this giant study trying to determine why it is that white women won't shack up with the immigrants that come over. Literally, it's like, why do you think? Why do you think? But really the question is, why do you think they wrote this study? Why do you think they're studying this?
That's a good point. Dude, there's such a huge push. I swear to you. We could even just scroll down this post and we'll watch this one next. I can't understand why people hate India now. We could just scroll down these posts and you'll see all the funny memes, or you'll see some of them we're posting. We'll probably find it when we look. That when you search white women happy in relationships or something like that on Google, watch the DEI shit that you get. It's in the push is everywhere. It's always the same too. So
is it a match? The congruence of partnership preference between Syrian and Afghan refugees and the German population. It's basically this giant study trying to determine why it is that white women won't shack up with the immigrants that come over. Literally, it's like, why do you think? But really the question is, why do you think they wrote this study? Why do you think they're studying this? Out of curiosity? No, it's like a war planning document. Basically, it's not working. They're brainwashing. They're, constantly having mixed race couples, and every media outlet, literally like holding camps where you're introducing prepubescent German girls to adult Afghan men so they can cuddle with each other. We've exposed all this before. It's not working. It's not working because white women want white men. It's not that complicated. You want to know why? I don't know what you're missing. I don't know. What do you need to know?
In-group preferences, they're real.
And it's like, well, are they asking why a bunch of non-German men want to get with German women? Oh, no? Oh, it's obvious? Oh, from first blush, it's just like eminently apparent why they would prefer German women? Gee, I wonder. And again, it's like people are like scared to even talk about this. Guys, they are literally coming for the white women. Like, what?
He's funny. And then this woman says everything
so
here too.
Apparently white women just don't want to marry or have relationships with migrant men. In other news, water is wet. There is a very interesting conversation
water is wet
on X at the moment due to this study that was posted by this fella here, Rolf DJ. A whole ass study about how white women are refusing to get with migrant men.
Why would that be?
Good old-fashioned bigotry. It's
totally
so stupid. Male refugees from Afghanistan and Syria in Germany show a keen interest in forming relationships with local women, but the local women showed little interest in forming relationships with them. Germany, in particular, received over 1.4 million refugees between 2014 and 2016, predominantly from Muslim-majority countries such as Syria and Afghanistan. The majority of these arrivals consisted of young, single men within prime marriageable age brackets. Furthermore, it is possible that highly educated women, due to their greater exposure to diverse social experiments. Diverse social environments and potentially less discriminatory attitudes are perceived as more open to intergroup partnerships, making them a more attractive choice for refugees seeking acceptance and social integration. On the other hand, the reluctance of resident women to accept partnerships with refugees is largely explained by their
black hat energy
of imported religious Islam. It is possible that resident women perceive their religious practices of newly arrived refugees as different from their own, reinforcing a social distance that limits intergroup partnerships. Moreover, this reluctance might not only reflect religious differences, but also concerns about gender norms or perceived lifestyle incompatibilities. Now, as you can see by my appearance, I am obviously white. And if you see my last name, you would know that I have German heritage. My heritage is British German. So I feel quite equipped to comment on this. Personally, I would rather die alone than marry one of these men from these backwards, barbaric societies. Do you love how he's worded this though? Like, largely explained by their rejection of the imported religious Islam. Like, yeah, it's a pretty big thing. It's a whole ideology that they live by. If it doesn't turn you on, it doesn't turn you on. You know, in the West and Europe, we're seen as pretty equal. We're not seen as property. We don't marry children. Now, obviously, because I know someone's going to comment on it, obviously there's something to be said about mostly left-wing women who continue to vote for these governments that allow this mass migration. And I wholeheartedly agree. They deserve criticism. I get it. But this study is just so objectively funny. Like, really? Oh, these poor single migrant men and the awful white women are just rejecting them. Come off it. I think porn has a lot to do with this too, because for a lot of these men...
Thank you, bro. Fucking hell. The porn rot. The porn brain that these guys have because they watch their... Let's be honest. All the porn that these guys are white, they're obsessed with white women. These interracial pornos that they're pushing. Mostly the Jews that own all the porn industry. But they push constantly white women, interracial this, and then these guys start to get a fetish for white women and they go out in the streets trying to pick up white women, and then it turns out most white women don't want them. We have the data, it's backed up by the fucking dating apps. The white women respond mainly to white men. Everybody else gets horrible statistics on the response rate. We all know it's racially broken down who has the most success and who does the worst on dating apps. It is not reality. Just because I saw this one girl or I saw this doesn't matter. congratulations, bro. The exception doesn't make the rule. When you look at the marriage rates, when you look at the rates of people dating, it's overwhelmingly in group preferences.
Their first introduction to white women, probably through porn.
Yes.
So that probably does skew their view that, all white women are Bonnie Blue. Again, the fact that we apparently needed a study to find the reason.
Yeah, that's a good point. All women to these guys are Bonnie Blues. They just watch a bunch of online videos, and then you get this shit. You get SAR over here, doctors and engineers talking about it's racist, white women won't date me.
Strict racial preferences
Listen to
is
shit.
99% of the time weird, racist, or all of the above.
White women won't fuck you, bro. Get over it. Like, this is what it is. He's trying to get at white women and they go, no thanks. Stop bullshitting. No one says this shit. And then he tries to convolute it with his leftist brain later. Watch.
Now, I know
was laughing.
all of our collective attention spans are cooked to absolute fucking shit. So I'm going to ask of you something that most creators will not ask of you, and that's that before you leave some bullshit reactionary comment, allow me to at least preempt whatever the fuck you're going to say so we can have a semi-productive conversation. I just want to date within my culture. Okay, totally valid.
Cool. I want to date within my culture. What is that? European. Done. I only date European. Done. Are you European? No, you're not. Okay. No, thanks. Done. That's my culture. European. Problem with that? Okay. It's that simple, ladies. White women watching. Do you see how you instantly beat the argument? Immediate. My culture. You're wanting to date within the culture is okay. Cool story. European culture. That's it. That's all I date within. End of story.
You're not a part of this conversation, right?
See, we're not a part of this conversation. It's not bigoted. It's not racist. We just prefer to date within our culture. It just so happens that European culture is white. Okay.
I would argue that that's not even a racial preference. That's a cultural preference. It's an ethnic preference, but it's not an exclusion of an entire race.
Oh, wait. Ethnic preference. Like, so you could say, well, I only date like German, Romanian, Slavic. Could you say that? I only date Baltic women. I only date. Could you say that? That's an ethnic preference. I only date the ethnicities from Europe.
From your set of preferences.
What a fucking... These people are so retarded, dude. Always. And it's always aimed in the same direction. How we can get the white women's, though. It's the white women's. Shit. Let's be completely honest. White women are the pinnacle. They're at the top of the hierarchy that we find the most attractive. It is what it is. Dating apps say it. Media says it. Culture says it. I don't give a fuck about your sensibilities. Get over yourself. It is what it is. White women are at the top of the hierarchy. It's every other woman below them. We know who's at the tippy top and we know who's at the fucking bottom. So, and everybody else is in between based on your preferences. End of story. What they do when these conversations always aimed at getting to white women. That's really what he wants to say, but he can't say it out loud. So he preempts the backlash by saying, but if you have an ethnic or a cultural preference, that's okay. What the fuck are you talking about? European is a ethnic and cultural preference. We have Americans. You could say, I don't date Americans. American whites. Is that bad? Or what if you just say, I only date European whites? Do we separate? How do you separate those out? You can't make it make sense with these fucking morons. Because the foundation of their argument is white people are at the top of the hierarchy and dating up is what happens when you get a white woman as an Indian dude, as any other dude. To have a white woman on your arm is a upgrade. Now, what do you think white women think when they're dating outside of their race? What do you think that is generally seen as? There's always exceptions to the rule. You could be a D1 athlete. You could be an absolute specimen. You could be worth millions of dollars. That changes the equation. Sure thing, buddy. Great. But average on average, the dating apps tell you what the truth is. Okay? Who gets the most response? Who's seen as the most attractive? Who's seen as the least attractive? Well, according to the dating apps, the most attractive, the ones who get the most responses back from all races are white men and white women. At the very bottom, who gets the least responses, according to dating app information, all the research they've done from, what was it? Plenty of Fish, like OkCupid, Tinder. I don't know if Bumble released anything. Blacks were at the bottom there. So if you're a black woman, you got the least responses from all male categories, all racial categories. They had the least responses. I think there was another study where they separated out Asian too. Like it was actually like Indian respondents. Maybe that was Plenty of Fish, Indian respondents. And then they had like East Asian and then, you know, shit like that. Indian guys actually are at the like damn near bottom for response rate. So I understand the Indian bros, you guys are having a hard day when it comes to dating. And it's not fun to go to college and then you're a good guy, you're working your ass off. You're getting ahead and you're seeing your Indian girls dating a bunch of white dudes. And it's well known in college, like Indian chicks are getting smashed by a bunch of Chads left and right. And then they'll go end up marrying the Indian dude and start their Indian family. I mean, Akash is the perfect example of that shit. Akash's woman had a roster of white dudes. She was literally like orgasming, talking about all the memories. Akash was a virgin simp, if I remember correctly, got with her, married her, and now they have their nice little Indian family where his girl's probably is essentially whitewashed. Not probably. You could look at her. She speaks white, talks white, raised essentially white in speaking language, mannerisms, all that shit. And she had a roster getting pumped and dumped. This is the Akash life. This is like standard Desi bro that goes to college and gets himself one of these college educated Indian women. That's the perfect example. It is what it is, bro. Don't make the rules.
It's born from a desire to be close to your culture, which, again, in my mind is valid. The second reaction...
So I have a desire to be close to my culture, white, European. So why can't I do that? Oh, but if somebody, say an Indian says I only date it, if a black says I only date black, if an Asian says I only date Asians, it's my culture, it's my people, everybody just goes, understandable. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, we get it. Of course. Yeah, cultural ties. Yeah, totally makes sense. But if white people say I only date white people, oh my God, it's so racist. We have a racial issue now. You're not entitled to white people, white spaces, white culture, white countries. None of you coming into these nations that white people built. You're not entitled. You need to start understanding this shit. I'm reading crazy stuff online. What is considered white supremacy? What is considered white flight? What is considered gentrification? What is considered silence is violent? There's nothing you can do as a white person in so-called culture today to not offend anybody. Everybody's offended by fucking everything. Your existence offends them. They're literally looking at themselves in the mirror, wishing they were part of our culture, our history, or whatever. They feel inferior. That's a feeling they have inside that they project outwards to you. You did nothing. You just were born. You're just existing. And because of history, they're trying to make you feel bad about who you are and what your ancestors did and what your people accomplished and all the countries you created. They're fucking coming in here, breaking down doors, trying to get into America, for example, and then come here like the Somalis and just commit fucking fraud everywhere. Get on welfare, don't work, don't do shit, don't pitch into the country, don't provide nothing. That's why they're called doctors and engineers, because it's the funniest shit ever. They're everything but. So look at the statistics of crime. Rapes, murders, gang violence, shootings, bombings, all of that shit. The statistics are there. Okay? So when white people say, hey, we took in too many. Hey, the cultures don't blend well. Hey, first world civilization has certain requirements when it comes to trust. Hey, people have in-group preferences. This is a sociological thing. It's just wired into us. Hey, we would like our own spaces. Everybody else gets to have their own space. Everybody else is applauded when they have their own space. But if you're white and want your own space, it's somehow negative. That bullshit's going to stop. It's over with. Don't give a fuck. Don't apologize for being white. It's done with. It's over with. Okay, we've already had a massive culture shift. You've already seen, I mean, Trump's the toad right now, but that populist right-wing energy amongst the white working classes, it's there. We're sick and tired of it, bro. We're paying taxes to fund third worlders that come to our countries, provide fucking nothing of value. I don't care about the one good one. There's too many bad apples around. I don't eat 10 poison apples because one of them was good. Sorry. Doesn't work that way. You had a shot. You could have spoke up against your own community. You didn't. And now they want access to women. They want access to your jobs. They want to be in your government and changing policies that benefit them, suppress you. They want to institute all these rules that are culturally sensitive for them, but ignore yours. Enough already. Enough already. Because the path that we're walking down, where these people are allowed to do this shit, coming into these spaces, into these countries, into your culture and trying to erase it, will go down in bloodshed. So let's like avoid that part. Kick out the fucking losers that don't actually produce anything of value. The few good ones, whatever you want to fucking call it, get to stay, pay into the system, and be their merry fucking way, minding their own business, but at the same time expected to assimilate into the culture. If you're coming into America, you're American. Don't give a fuck you're from India. Don't care you're from Pakistan. Don't care if you're from wherever you're from. You could be from Mars. You're now American. Don't give a shit. You're not flying your home country's flag. I don't care about your pride in your home country. Go the fuck home if that's what it is. You're going to eat some shitty American food. You're going to do the shitty American holidays. And you're going to do all the other things that Americans do as American. Get over it. I don't give a fuck about my culture. I don't want to smell the shit you're cooking. Don't give a fuck about the culture you came from, the languages you're speaking. English, bro. We speak English over here. I speak a second language. I was born as an immigrant outside of another country as a baby, brought over here. Do you see me pretending, acting, speaking a different way, deriding American culture, making fun of Americans a certain way, not partaking in American holidays? No. Why? Because I came assimilated as was expected out of respect. And these are the people I want to emulate. Are they perfect? No. Are they better than where I came from? Yes. It's evident in the country they've built, you fucks. So if you're a third world piece of shit and refuse to do just that bare minimum, go the fuck home. You're not wanted here. End of story. All Americans should have this fucking energy. I'm surprised you guys allow these people to get away with what they get away with.
At WP869 donated CA $2. Story is a free Masonic public humiliation ritual.
Yeah.
A Dimp 911 donated $5. I'm Greek and Lebanese, so Mediterranean and Middle Eastern. I still get called a racist or white supremacist. It only has to do with the color of skin, nothing else. It's only when I say something they don't like. These terms mean nothing now.
Yep.
Your response is going to be, well, I can't control what I'm attracted to. Well, valid point, okay? I can't either, but I still hold my position, right? So in order for me to respond to you, we're going to have to go through a little bit more nuance as to what race actually is and how sexual preferences are formed in societies. The first point here is that when most people refer to racial preferences, they aren't actually talking about the concept of race. When a white guy says that he's exclusively into Asian girls, he's not talking about girls that look like me with the wig on. He's talking typically about East Asian girls, Chinese, Japanese, Korean. So what we're talking about here is not really a racial preference. We're talking about a phenotypic preference or an ethnic preference. Now, I could make a whole separate video on the fetishistic attachment that white men and East Asian women have, but for now, let's just put that conversation aside and focus on the physical aspect. Your physical preferences do not...
Yeah, you're fucking weird. If you fetishize... I'm sorry, bro. I got to get on my own people for this. You're a white man, you fetishize East Asians, you're a fucking weirdo, dude. If you prefer East Asians over your own, you're a fucking weirdo. Sorry. I got to call you out. If you have porn brain. If you do not prefer your own people, you got somewhere along the line, you absolutely got fucking manipulated. You got propagandized. You have either porn brain or some anime brain or some idealized vision of what Asian girls are as a white man. Speaking as a white man, if you actually prefer them over your own blood, you're a fucking weirdo. I don't care. I don't care what anybody has to say about that. Hey, love is love. Totally get it. I'm just saying, you may one day meet an Asian woman and holy shit, you click and things are nice. Cool story, bro. But if you have a strong preference, like I only date Asian women as a white guy, you got a fucking problem. You're a fetishist. Okay? I'm not saying you can't fall in love with anybody else outside of your race and have a multiracial family. You do whatever the fuck you want. Your kids could look like mystery meat if you want. That's fine. They'll deal with their own identity problems. Cool story, bro. especially in the world we live in. Not exactly a good thing. We saw the statistics on what that leads to. So you want to deal with those extra friction points in your relationship, extra cultural friction, extra issues in your marriage. By all means, you do that. Wouldn't it be simple if we're going to be talking about all of this fucking, it's so hard to date, can't relate to anybody, the culture's gone to shit, and, all this other stuff we talk about in what? Modern society. Why the fuck would you add another layer of difficulty by dating outside of your ethnic preferences, cultural preferences? Okay? Let me go somewhere where I stick out like a sore thumb. The locals never accept me. Marry a woman from this foreign country. Sit there, be like the only guy that looks like me walking around. My kid is a halfway between me and her. He's going to get bullied at school. They're going to make fun of him. He's not going to look the same. He'll never integrate on a deep level. And as he's growing up in his mind, as he sits in his room, as he deals with his peers, as he moves on in the world to get work and all this stuff, he's going to have to think about, who do I belong to? I'm not white. My white side of the family doesn't accept me fully. The local population here calls me a mixed breed, a mutt, whatever it is. I'm not exactly fully one of them either. I don't belong anywhere. This happens to a lot of mixed race kids. I've had mixed race friends. They're probably in the chat and they'll respond in this video later when it's cut up. They will tell you that they've had identity problems because neither side of the family had a strong identical pool on them, or identitarian pool. And so they grow up confused, and then they grow up and start having to deal with that identity crisis. That shit's not a joke, bro. Having kids willy-nilly is something you don't do. You don't fuck some woman and just have a kid. This is extremely important. You're bringing a new life into the world. There are fucking consequences for every single thing that you do. There are consequences. And if we don't talk about shit like this, then you're going to get porn brained out. You're going to racial dysmorphia. I don't know if it has a word. It does have some sort of word. There was a study that we were looking at, and mixed race kids grow up in school to be full of issues. Well, not full of issues, not all of them, but the propensity for them having an identity crisis is heightened so much that they are more susceptible to like doing drugs, to violence, to skipping class at school, to basically doing all the things. If you're a boy or a girl, imagine all the things you try to do to gain approval from your peers, to be a part of a group. So because you don't have a strong internal identity, you'll start to act out. Kids act out by doing bad shit, by trying to earn respect from their peers. So those kids end up trying to do more shit, more bad shit in order to try to fit in. These are real repercussions. No one ever talks about it when we talk about family planning because, we had to zip it. Oh my God, bro, can't have race discussions, but why not? So we're trying to heal society or not, dude? Are we going to pretend we're all the same? Because we're not, bro. I don't know. Stop bullshitting. Talk to me. I got friends from all races, all ethnicities. Literally, even in the school community, we got people from all over the world, all different colors. Doesn't stop us from having conversation. None of this shit is personal. It's just being able to speak freely amongst one another with the unique problems that we're all facing within our communities and individually. If you can't get to that basic point, you can't have these conversations. And I couldn't even fucking trust you to have these conversations. If you tell me, if you spill some bullshit like this fucking dude spilling, talking about we're all the same and, you can't have these preferences, I can't trust you, bro. You're probably one of the most racist people underneath all of that shit. It's these leftist libbies that are the most racist people you ever meet. Everything to them is race. Everything to them is under that lens of white supremacy, this and that. This is what you're seeing. They're literally trying to engineer culture so that they could get what in his mind is essentially a white woman. That's what he really wants. That's what he's really talking about. Don't bullshit anybody. Who do you think he has the trouble with picking up the most? Probably white women. Okay? Cut the shit, bro. No more.
At Count Shed the Impaler donated $2. Opinions of brainwashed, Wiki Lloyd don't trouble me.
Thanks, brother.
At Degenimid 5,978 donated CA $2. Respectfully, I disagree. Have you seen the BMI?
The BMI of what? Are you trying to say there's no not fat people? You can't find any non-obese people, bro, from your own race? Is that what you're saying? So you got to travel to what? Foreign lands to fuck some skinny woman? Like, are you out of your mind?
At MLRS7, we donated $2. Elliot Roger was mixed too, and look what happened.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Actually, yeah.
At Degenimid 5,978 donated CA $2. The preference is due to obesity and the West man shrugging, clinking beer mugs.
Clinking beer mugs. Thanks, brother. Yeah, you can't listen, if you're white and you go to Europe, somewhere in the Balkans, okay, that makes sense, bro. If your excuse is I'm leaving to go get one of these little Filipinas that look like little boys, and you're some white guy, it's not because they're fat, bro. It's because you have a fucking fetish. You're not smashing white women in America because they're all fat. You just want to go smash some young, boyish looking Filipina chicks. Can we stop bullshitting? What the fuck else do you think these guys are doing 50, 40, 60 years old in the Philippines? Smashing some like 20-year-old, 30-year-old Filipina, most likely a single mother. Like that other simp. The video got taken down because we were talking about that other simp.
At MLRS7, we donated $2. How pro-gun is East Europe?
How pro-gun? It depends which Eastern European country you go, bro. In the Balkans, it depends. Former Yugoslav places, good. Russia, good. Ukraine, good, obviously, because of the war. Yeah. So, I mean, my woman was shooting guns before. I didn't even know. They have brothers, fathers who fought in the Balkan War and shit like that. So, some of them actually have at home some nice weapons that you probably shouldn't have.
Spawned from nowhere. You weren't born liking someone's nose to be small, or their cheeks to look a certain way, or their face to be a certain shape. There are absolutely some aspects of attraction that can be attributed to nature, but a large portion of it is absolutely attributed to nurture. There are all sorts of societies across the globe to this day where their beauty standards are radically different from ours. I personally could not fathom looking at this and feeling the guttural emotion that is attraction towards all of these respective individuals, but I acknowledge that the reason for that is because I haven't been socialized under those standards. Here, for example, is a woman who would have been considered beautiful in medieval Europe, but like that cranium would not be seen as beautiful in American society today. Here's the thing, I'm not saying that you can control what you're attracted to, but what I am saying is to pretend as though the things that you're attracted to, the features you're attracted to, are just innocuously pointed towards this Eurocentric vector.
Oh, see, I didn't get this far in the video, but I knew it. You see?
Perfect, bruh.
I told you, I just guessed on the first 10 seconds, saw Indian dude, hey, it's racist to date, you're not date outside your race. Oh, he wants to fuck white women. Of course, bro. Of course. Okay.
At Count Chad the Impaler donated $2, had 2 kids, W my 5 feet 7 inches 105 white XDNA tested.
Hey. You had DNA tested your ex, you fucking psycho.
A damp 911 donated $5. LOL, I guess I'm weird. Speaking openly, I've dated all types, white, Asian, and a light-skinned woman from Ghana. In my eyes, the Korean, Thai, etc. are more attractive. It's just my preference.
You're already mixed though, bro, so you have a preference. It's fine. You're somewhere in between. But there are people that are born with a strong identity in a strong identity-esque family, European, say Romanian, for example, deep in the culture, saw my women look like, was raised around everybody in the family, kids, friends at school, stuff like that. It's beyond preference at that point. It's just biological. I like white women more. They look close to me. They have the features I like. I grew up seeing these faces. It's in-group preferences. My people. End of story. You could then maybe say, I prefer, there's a certain set of people in every population group that are on the margins that prefer to date outside of their race, they find that more attractive for whatever reason. It'd be interesting if a study, figured out how that happens. Was it the porn? Was it to exposure? Was it to whatever it is, right? It'd be interesting to see that stuff, how people get a, penchant for other races, dating outside your race. I find that fascinating. That's super cool. But to have like a strong preference where you deny your own is what I'm talking about specifically. Like there are dudes that literally say, white men, like, I don't date white women. I like East Asians. I think those people are weird. If your options are open, you should, I just date everybody and whatever. Okay, that's different. But when you're fetishizing a group while putting down your own, I think that's the problem. So I'll clarify there and say that if I didn't make that one obvious. I feel like the dudes, because I've seen a bunch of white men in comments and shit and say like, I don't date white women. They got what they deserve. I only do Asians now. And I'm like, what are you fucking talking about, you anime fuck? Like, what is wrong with you? You're putting down your own women? Saying like you can't find a decent white woman, something different. Saying that, well, don't want to go to Eastern Europe to find a woman, something like that. It's completely different. But putting down your own people, like where's that self-hate coming from? All right, what propaganda did you shove up your rectum?
Is ridiculous. It's a preposterous statement. You don't naturally believe that paler skin is more beautiful. You don't naturally believe that smaller noses are more beautiful. These are things that are drilled into you via socialization. Two things can be true at once, right? Firstly, you can acknowledge that you don't have any real control over what you're attracted to because it's this internal guttural reaction. But you can also acknowledge that those things are socialized, that those things...
What the fuck, bro? I'm sorry, boys, but across racial lines, if a woman's got a nice ass, is that a guttural reaction? Was that culturally put into you? If you see a nice pair of milkers, absolute cannons on any woman, it doesn't matter the race, on any woman, do we as men of all races just look and go, holy shit, nice milkers? I don't care if whatever color they are. I know milkers when I see them. I know what's a nice milker or not. It doesn't matter the skin tone. They can come in all tones, chocolate, white chocolate, caramel. Milk is milk, baby. And the cannons do something to me. And I was born with that. Can't help it. All right. Same shit with a nice ass. I don't care on what woman it is on. Just there's nice ass and there isn't nice asses. Skin tone's irrelevant. This shit is the same for eye colors, for nose features, for hair, for all that. It's the same, bro. There's just an objective like that just looks better and that doesn't. Men of all races can do this. Just physically, we can make this logical leap much easier. Duh. Yes. Blonde is rare. Looks better. End of story. Black hair's common. It's everywhere. Not as interesting. It is what it is. Blue eyes, colored eyes in general. Hey, dude, they're really rare on the global population. Yeah, actually looks nice, doesn't it? Yeah, of course it does. It's just objective. It's just objective, bro. His eye color, he's got like dark brown. All right, dude. Nobody goes and looks at and goes, wow, those dark browns look amazing. Just being real. You see somebody with an insane like blue, green, crazy looking eye colors, man or woman, you go, holy shit, that's crazy looking. Red hair, same shit, very rare. Gingers are very rare even amongst white people. Red hair, freckles everywhere, pale skin. It's just rare. It just so happens that white people have incredible diversity within the European gene. Like, it's crazy just how much hair color, eye color, even skin tone from, super peachy, white, red undertone to like the Mediterranean tanned look that there's just so many variations. That shit's interesting. If we go to India, you're not getting variation, bro. Yeah, from pink to olive. You go to India, you just get what? You just get what he has. That's it. Neither bad nor good. It is what it is, bro. All right.
Things are formed through a lens of white supremacy and Eurocentrism. Now, the second point is going to be that exclusionary racial preferences, which are absolutely racist. I could point to people who are Asian but look white, white but look black, black but look white.
Hey, dog. Come on with that shit. I could point to white people who look black, black people who look white. Bruh. You what? You what, dude?
There is no genetic basis for race. So
holy shit. We just, oh my God. Wow. Excuse the fuck out of me. I didn't know we were walking into this kind of shit. I didn't know we were going way off the deep end there. Wow. Holy shit, bro. The cope level extreme white women, please. There's a white woman. Damn, what white woman broke his heart? There is no genetic basis for race. Walk that back, G.
Look white. There is no genetic basis for race. So when you make blanket statements like, oh, I would never date a black woman, there are black women who look like all sorts of things. If you are attracted to someone, and then the thing that causes you to divert your attraction from them is learning that they're black, or learning that they're Indian, or learning that they're blank race or ethnicity, you...
Bro, we took one look at you, knew instantly. End of story. Okay. We're just, science isn't real anymore. We're just taking like genetics and threw it out the window. Yeah, genetics, not real science. It's all voodoo magic, bro. Totally. Okay. All right, bro.
You are a racist individual. And this happens a lot more commonly than you think. It's just stated a little bit more covertly than the way that I've stated it to you. Like the number of times I'll be scrolling on this app and like a beautiful brown woman comes across my page who looks Indian to me because I'm a brown person, I can spot my own folk, but looks probably a little bit more ethnically ambiguous to other folk, and they like will be in the comments like trying to postulate what her ethnicity is, and then when she clarifies that she's Indian, they're like kind of baffled by that. They have to like ask if she's like mixed with something else or if there's like some other flavor in there.
There you go. That, we just found his pain point, because whenever it's considered beautiful, when an Indian is considered beautiful, a woman, she's lighter skin. Most likely, what is that? Northern Indian or some mixed with something else. There you go. This is the pain point for the entire video. Why is it that every time I scroll TikTok and I see a beautiful Indian woman, everybody's asking her ethnicity as if Indian can't be beautiful? That's the argument he's really trying to make here. As if anything not Indian is beautiful and anything full Indian physiognomy is unattractive. This is the entire shit that hurt his feelings, and he made this entire video. That's what it is. Holy fuck, bro. Okay.
At Count Chad the Impaler donated $2. India. Imagine have IQ of 85 and having only 4.
4 inches.
Because they're fucking racist. Okay, they're racist. There's no other way to slice that cake, my friend. And I hate to
so are Indians racist against other Indians? Because North hates South. They think South live like animals. The North Indians find themselves superior and of higher caste. Think about that. So what he's talking about, they literally have skin creams to whiten their skin to look like the elite class. And those women typically have some of the colored eyes. Priyanka, what's her name? Priya? I don't know. There's an Indian woman. She was like one of the most attractive Indian women. She has completely light features, very light skin, colored eyes, crazy looking eye color, very rare looking. And you don't think those people look down on the average Indian out there? Priya Patel, is that what her name was? Priya Patel? Don't know what her name is, but let me search that in case you guys are trolling me in some fucking porn star because you guys are geeked out of your brains. Priya Patel. Aishwarya Rai? Is that her name? No, who the fuck? This dude gave me some random conservative commentator. Bro, whoever said Priya Patel, just off yourself today. Please. Priyanka Chopra. She looks, I think that name is more. Yeah, no, it's not this. Is it? It's not her either. Aishwarya Rai. I think it was that one. She's legitimately beautiful. Aishwarya Rai. Yeah, it's this one. I think it is. Yeah. Okay, so check this out. This chick, clearly, not your average Indian chick. Clearly, bro. Clearly. Okay? And so when he's going on TikTok and he sees a Indian woman that looks something like that, and the first question is, where is she from? What do you think? What do you think he's feeling? Because he's not from this caste or whatever. Look at this, bro. Okay? Genuinely. Whatever color, he can't say she's an ugly woman. So the question then becomes, he made this video, actually, we'll just say, in order to get off his chest what he's feeling inside, that this is in India considered like peak beauty, these standards. He calls it white supremacy. He calls it Eurocentric features because he doesn't have as many Eurocentric features as this kind of women do. Look at that shit. So there you go. Okay.
State the obvious.
Like clearly he's not from that same caste, bro. And so when you're looking at these videos and you're him, then it means everybody's saying you're not attractive because you don't have those same features. That's the pain point here. See, this is what happens when you have a real conversation. This is what we're really discussing. He doesn't like it when the mirror is up and he's scrolling through the comments and the people are saying people that look like you are less attractive, even your own people. Indians are saying that shit.
Here, but I'll just end the video off like this. If your attraction is born out of racial stereotypes, you're obviously fucking racist, okay? Chad, you're fucking racist for liking Asian women because they're docile and they're tight. Like, you're fucking weird. You're a weirdo. You're a fucking weirdo. I don't know how else to articulate that to you, but you're fucking weird. Just because you can't control something doesn't mean that you're absolved from the responsibility of assessing why you hold those thoughts and those beliefs and those preferences. And that is, frankly, the least you could do.
White women, please. Send him some leftist liberal. Get her off our hands. And look, we'll just follow up with this so-called, look at this, help me, please help. They're going to do something. Lawyers, if the footage of the attack is released, there would be riots across the country. It says the details of the rape of a 50-year-old girl in Leamington have been released. The girl recorded the whole thing on her phone. Afghans did this. Look at it. Look
I want
what
to
you're
talk to you about the details of this horrific rape in Leamington, because some of the details here are absolutely appalling, and I'm sharing them with you for full transparency about what happened in that case, but I also give a warning before I do about some of them. 2 Afghan asylum seekers dragged a 15-year-old girl into a secluded area of woodland and raped her. The girl cried out for help. Indeed, she managed to record her begging of a passing woman. At one point, a woman is heard asking the 15-year-old, "Are you all right?" The girl replies, "No, help me, please help me. So many people have walked past me. I want to go home. Please, please, help me. They are going to rape me."
Thanks, Des, for the 100, by the way. Appreciate you, brother.
The girl, who can't be named because she is entitled to anonymity, the court was told eventually managed to get away and recorded several selfie-type videos demonstrating what they say was extreme distress, crying and hyperventilating. In a video after the ordeal, she could be heard sobbing, "Oh my God, I've just got effing kidnapped. I thought I was going to be dead. Every single one of these people are driving past me. Help me, someone. Please, please help me. Why is no one helping me? Please, someone." Her mother said in a victim impact statement, "We have watched our vibrant, happy and confident daughter shrink down and suffer from anxiety so bad that she is often physically sick. This has affected every aspect of her life. Something broke in all of us that day." The 2 Afghans who were living in a hotel, having just arrived by boat, have been sentenced to 10 and 9 years in prison. The Telegraph reports that Janzeb turns 18 in less than a month and will be automatically deported after serving his sentence. But the court heard that his date of birth was unknown, so an age assessment has been carried out by specialists. So I wonder then how we know that he turns 18 in a month if we don't actually know this individual's date of birth. And therein lies a very, very big part of a very, very big problem. We have no idea who these people are. We barely know where they come from. And the rage that I feel about this story and the rage that you feel about this story, this kind of actually I find genuinely barely containable rage, leads to perhaps a desire to bring in a few of the more kind of Trumpian ends of the ideas about what should happen next. And I would quite candid with you, quite a few of those ideas have flickered through my mind in the last 24 hours. But I am trying extremely hard not to let the jerk in knee-jerk win. However, as the people of Crowborough, where 600 men are about to be deposited in an old army camp, as they set up a patrol group of local residents around the old barracks there, surely that has to be an absolute minimum now for any place housing large numbers of asylum-seeking men. We cannot have groups of random, bored, culturally incompatible men wandering around towns and villages of places unfortunate enough to be burdened with this. At a minimum, the rule has to be you cannot leave the facility you're being fed and watered.
Yeah, look how ridiculous this shit sounds. Housing migrants next to children's schools, forcing little kids to do these like orientations with grown adults, migrants, men, invaders, not contributing to the economy. You're putting school-age children next to dudes that are 20 plus years old in order to assimilate them somehow, to get the little white girls okay with being around strangers, strange foreign men. That shit's insane. You have grooming gangs that are absolutely part of the police. The policemen were in on the grooming gangs. They were policemen from other countries, other races that came in, got hired, and then helped the gangs traffic and prostitute these young women. Why is it that a country like China is expected to and has the right to be mostly Chinese or all Chinese, and that to be Chinese has a strict, strong identity, but when you come to a European country, you're entitled now to all the Europeans' culture, you're entitled to the welfare, you're entitled to call yourself now, if you're in Britain and you were born or look something else, right? Say you're a Nigerian, now you can call yourself British. You're not British, bro. You will never be British. You have a piece of paper. This is the stupidest thing the West has ever done. Gave people citizenship. You are a citizen. That's it, though. You should have just been a resident. We should have separated out what it meant to be a citizen as a resident. You're not British. You came from somewhere else. And we have to pretend like somehow you now have the same rights that these people do. Because you got that piece of paper. You're entitled to the same things as these people who are here for generations building that country. That blows my mind. Blows my mind. I have another video here. I'm trying to get it to come up. Stupid ass computer. There we go. Listen to this shit.
Oh, I live in the borough right next to Hillingdon.
Yep.
And I moved into my house in 2019. My local shop, there's been 3 stabbings, 1 murder since then.
Wow.
My friend was murdered last year up on the high street. Girl I know was murdered in Southall Park. The government are failing us. I'm so scared for my children. I have a 22-year-old son, and I'm begging him to move out of the country.
Oh my goodness, I feel for you.
What are these politicians doing to us? They're putting our children in so much danger. They're putting everyone in danger, and they're not doing nothing to help us.
And that's the thing a lot of us feel. How many is too many?
They're pushing us to do something that we don't want to do. We are peaceful people. British people never revolt against their government.
Yeah.
They're going to push us to it because they're not listening to us. Our friends, our family are dying. I had a cousin murdered 20 years ago who was stabbed to death, and nothing has changed, Julia.
I'm so sorry, Sarah. I'm sure I speak for everyone listening and watching right now. My heart goes out to you, and that's the reality.
I don't leave the house without a man.
You're that worried.
Well, everyone I know is getting stabbed. They're getting raped in parks. This is where I live, not where the politicians live.
Do you think that's part of the issue, that they don't live in the real world?
Keir Starmer, if you're listening to this, please do something. I'm petrified. I've never broken the law in my life. I've been a law-abiding citizen. I've been a civil servant. Please do something. It's us that are dying on the streets. You talk about being racist. We're not racist. My sister's mixed race. Yeah. I was a white child brought up in a mixed race family. Nothing to do with race.
Exactly.
To do with our safety.
Sarah, I mean, 100%.
Has nothing to do with race. Oh boy, she's not going to wake up from that one. It's cultural. It's just a culture thing, right, Bert? And then you have that funny video of those Pakistani dudes that were in a grape gang, grooming gang, and they're like, yeah, it's our culture. It's our culture to take these little white kids and traffic them for sex. It's a cultural thing. Oh, so that's the culture. Okay, got it. Uh-huh. You think this would have happened if Britain didn't import all these people? Just a question. Do you think you'd be dealing with unsafe neighborhoods if you didn't bring the third world over? Just a question. Yeah, normies have a lot to wake up to. A lot. Anyways, moving on to a lighter subject. The Trump world order. Let's get into it.
About an hour ago, Donald Trump addressed the American people. This follows an address from Prime Minister Albanese of Australia to his people, as well as Prime Minister Starmer to the British people. And in both speeches by Starmer and Albanese, they said to the people, we know that fuel prices, gas prices are going up, and we should expect more pain, but we will do as much as we can to ensure that your wallet is not too impacted. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump, in his address to the American people, basically said that this war will continue, and America may start to bomb energy and oil infrastructure of Iran. Okay, so let's listen to a few of his words.
Our economy is strong and improving by the day, and it will soon be roaring back like never before. It will top the levels that it was a month ago. I've made clear from the beginning of Operation Epic Fury that we will continue until our objectives are fully achieved. Thanks to the progress we've made, I can say tonight that we are on track to complete all of America's military objectives shortly, very shortly. We are going to hit them extremely hard over the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to bring them back to the Stone Ages where they belong.
Okay, so he's basically saying that we're winning this war and we will bomb them to the Stone Ages, which tells us he's actually not winning this war, okay? Now, I also want to look at another person who is Peter Hegseth.
New strategic map.
Also, we're on a search and rescue plan currently right now as the moment we're speaking. An F-15 got downed. Is that correct, right? F-15 got downed. There are search helicopters and other aircraft currently looking for a F-15 pilot. Is it 1 or 2? I'm not sure. Currently in the southwest of Iran, that was downed by, I'm not sure what it was downed by. They haven't come out and shown if it was the IRST system again that was successful, but we currently have a downed pilot or 2 currently evading local Iranians. There is a monetary award from the Iranian government to capture these Americans alive. Both of them were found. That was the last. I don't know any updates. If both were found, hopefully they were found by our people. And if the locals found them, that's going to suck. They found the pilot. They're looking for the other. So who found it? Who is they, though? And both search helicopters got hit? Wow. I have to look at that one right now while we're listening to this. Also, an A-10 crashed? What?
So remember, this war in Iran, it's not ending. In fact, many people believe it's only starting to ramp up. So there are rumors that Donald Trump has already authorized the use of ground forces. And so we could see an invasion of Iran as early as this weekend, but certainly, definitely this month, okay? But while America is fighting this war in Iran, this is the Secretary of War, Peter Hegseth, and he's announced that America will control all North America.
From Greenland to the Gulf of America to the Panama Canal and its surrounding countries. At the Department of War, we call this strategic map the Greater North America. Why? Because every sovereign nation and territory north of the equator, from Greenland to Ecuador and from Alaska to Guyana, is not part of the global South. It is a security perimeter in this great neighborhood that we all live in.
Okay, so
Chris Wasn Jewish donated $3. Bo, have you watched Europa, The Last Battle documentary by Tobias Brett on Internet Archives?
I tried. I turned it on, saw the dude full of face tats, turned it off. I'll be completely honest. Yeah.
Basically, what he's saying is we will enforce the Monroe Doctrine in North America. So it sounds very strange to people in that Donald Trump is fighting this war in Iran that's not really winnable. At the same time, he is being aggressive in North America. He's seeking fights with Canada, with Denmark over Greenland, with Colombia, with Mexico, with Cuba. In fact, he's embargoing Cuba right now, and people expect possibly an invasion of Cuba very soon. So people just think that Donald Trump is...
So it says F-15E shot down in southwestern Iran, pilot rescued. WSO still missing. A-10C Thunderbolt 2 shot down and crashed in the Persian Gulf. Pilot reportedly recovered. HH-60G Pavehawk hit during CSAR mission and crash landed across the border in Iraq. Crew reportedly rescued. Other incidents: KC-135R Strato tanker emergency squawk 7700 around 10 UTC near Tel Aviv. F-16 CJ Wild Weasel emergency squawk 7700 over Saudi Arabia near the Iraqi border around 1500 UTC, later disappeared from flight radar. What is happening? Another KC-135R Strato tanker emergency squawk 7700 around 1900 UTC near Tel Aviv. What is going on?
Is all over the place, and he's idiotic, okay? So this is Iran, and everyone says that a ground invasion of Iran would be stupid because it is much too large to invade. Right now, America has only about 50,000 troops in the Middle East, and the geography, the terrain, makes it very hard to control, okay? So you have the...
Holy crap. And some potentially breaking news here. Iran just offered Europe a Hormuz deal. Iran offered the EU transit access through the Strait of Hormuz. Massive, dude. So, if Europe takes this deal, they pay in euros, not dollars. Wow, Iran is really going to try to normalize the Hormuz Strait for every other country and letting them settle in their own currency and not the dollar. This is the destruction of the petrodollar. This is interesting. Wow. The petrodollar is the most powerful financial system created in 1974. Yeah, Says the ECB board member Panetta said on April 2nd, even if the Iran war ends, the damage has been done. Deutsche Bank called the Iran war a catalyst for the yuan, replacing the petrodollar. They're showing you a war about nuclear weapons and regional security. They're not showing you the real war, which is over who gets to print the world reserve currency. Says here's the logic. Iran blocks Hormuz for the U.S., opens it for the EU with a deal. EU, desperate and bleeding, seriously considers taking the deal. Deal gets done in euros, not yuan, not dollars. Every country watching BRICS, Global South, Gulf states, they're seeing it happen. If the EU can bypass the dollar, so can we. Dollar demand falls. Reserve share collapses. U.S. inflation rises. You didn't just lose a trade route. You lost the dollar's 50-year monopoly on global trust. Wow. If America is so powerful and the dollar so safe, why is the EU considering a deal with the country America is bombing? Holy shit. This is no longer just a Middle East war. This is a direct attack on the petrodollar, the system that powers the entire American empire. Prepare accordingly. Wow. I'm so curious what Europe's back channeling. I would be shocked if Europe is starting to get their tankers let through, because Europe now gets to trade and settle in euros, directly in euros, which they have a financial system built for, already. Wow. That's called 5D chess.
These mountains, the Zagros Mountains, which allows for the Iranians to hide and conduct guerrilla warfare and use drone strikes and artillery strikes. And then you have the desert, which makes it very hard to cross, okay? So even if the Americans were to
It is confirmed. It is confirmed. Remember, I got to toot my own horn here because constantly, I was the only one that mentioned that IRST system. ABC News confirms Iran used advanced passive infrared detection to shoot down the American 15. Same with the F-35. There you go. It cannot be detected or jammed by American electronic warfare systems. Yep, we were correct. Holy crap. A second U.S. aircraft, a A-10 Warthog, went down near the strait. Okay, that was the old stuff we were reading already. Source, New York Times. We are definitely preparing for something major over the weekend. This is the largest amount of combat aircraft we've lost in the span of 24 hours? In a long time. Wow.
Here, from Iraq, they would have to face the mountains. If they were attacked from Pakistan, from the east, they would have to face deserts, okay? And if they were to attack from the south, they would face all these mountains. And also you're far away from Tehran, which is ultimately your objective, okay? So there's lots of conversations about what the Americans are trying to do. Right now, the consensus seems to be the Americans first want to control the Strait of Hormuz in order to elevate the strain on the global economy, okay? But as you can see from this map, first of all, the strait, it's not very wide, and it's very close to the Iranian coastline in the mountains, so it's easy to attack from. And there are these, and then the Iranians can put mines all around the strait as well. So what everyone tells us is that an invasion of Iran would just be idiotic. But at the same time, the Americans need to free up the Strait of Hormuz and allow for maritime navigation.
This is turning into basically what Vietnam was. We started with special forces. We started actually the first group in there was it special forces or is a small contingent of Marines? It started off that way. I can't remember exactly when. And then the scope of the war widened and it turned into a full-blown war and years of bullshit. Same thing that we're doing right now. It seems like we're going to send in special forces. At least that's the plan. It's been rumored that Trump's already given approval. And this is why Hegseth fired 6-7 different generals in the past, day or two. It started with 5,000 Marines and then some special forces. Yeah. Somebody check that. I remember it's one or the other or both. I can't remember which came first though, but both. It was both. It starts off with advisors and special forces. Yeah. And then a small Marine contingent went. And yes, and then it went into a full-scale war. It seems like this is what's happening here. We're going to send a Marine contingent and then the 82nd Airborne on top of that, probably with some special forces being inserted like Delta or SEALs or a combination of such. There was videos spotting a bunch of military diggers in San Diego being transported en masse somewhere. So it seems like why would you need diggers for? Well, the boys are headed to the desert to go dig up some of that nuclear material. Potentially. Yeah.
In order to stabilize the global economy. Okay. Already we're seeing lots of signs that America is preparing for a long, long war. So there are already 50,000 troops in the Middle East, and a lot of them will be deployed against Iran. But also there's a letter from Leonard Anderson to reserves, telling them we must get ready to deploy, fight, and win. Okay? So not only have they sent 50,000 troops to the Middle East, but they're preparing to call the reserves as well. Okay? So this seems as though America is preparing for total war. Polymarket is a very interesting place.
A damp 911 donated $5, being hit from multiple sides. Japan raised its rates to around 2.3% and dropped $25 billion in U.S. treasuries. China sold U.S. bonds down to the lowest levels. This is a strategic economic plan to weaken the U.S. This is a money war.
Right. And then we enter into a war when we're financially wobbly. Excellent planning.
To understand how global events will turn out, okay? And so there are three indicators that, in fact, a war is coming, a ground invasion is coming. First of all, the pizza index is exploding. What does this mean? It means that in the Pentagon...
Yaguking donated $2. Pyrrhic victory inbound.
Even if it's a victory or us walking away.
When they're
Pyrrhic victory means winning and getting all our objectives. Do you think we're going to win and have every single objective completed? I don't think so. Pyrrhic victory. Dude, a Pyrrhic victory involves full-scale war going into Iran, instituting regime change, having a American-friendly government installed. Fucking hell. That's your Pyrrhic victory. Or we could just cut our losses and walk the fuck away.
Preparing to launch a ground invasion, they need...
I like how it says gay bars are suddenly empty. We're ruled by idiots, bro. This shit's insane.
To work overtime. And so they call for pizza, okay? And so pizza deliveries are going up. Gay bars are empty, okay? So when people are, don't have much to do, they go and, go on dates. The last is that people are making bets, large bets, that a ground invasion will happen, okay? So these are people who have inside information, and so they go on Polymarket and make a bet that this will happen, knowing it will happen. So this guy bet $200,000 that a ground invasion will happen, and if it turns out a ground invasion does happen, he will win over $1 million. Okay, so these are three very good indicators that a ground invasion has been approved and it will happen very, very soon. Okay, Donald Trump himself has said many, many things. Okay, so he said that, you know what, if we leave the Middle East, it's not our problem. We don't really care, okay? And he also says that, hey, NATO, it's your responsibility to open the Strait of Hormuz because we told you so and because you need the oil.
Dude, look at this shit fest going on here. Let me send this. Holy crap. Look at this. Iranian police firing at two Jolly Green helicopters. Look at this. For the search and rescue. Look. Wow. That's crazy. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if they had some shoulder fired rockets or some any anti-armor on them that they can carry? Like the shit that the Stingers, and what else were we giving? What were we giving Ukraine where they were just fucking everything up with them? It wasn't Stingers, it was something else. Imagine if Iran just starts passing those out everywhere. Javelins, yeah. We're giving Ukraine javelins and they were racking Russian armor. Can you imagine? I'm sure Iran has some form of man pads, right? And they're probably super cheap. And then imagine giving man pads to countrymen, the police officers everywhere. Wow. I'm sure seeing these videos now, they're thinking about something like that. That's crazy. Behind enemy lines, right? That's insane.
At Count Chad the Impaler donated $5. Dune Emperor Trump had to unleash the Sardaukar upon the Fremen because the spice must flow sarcasm.
I've never seen Dune, bro. I should watch that. I hear it's actually pretty decent. Visually, it's a spectacle. I have not watched Dune yet.
Yaguking donated $2. Not what it means. A Pyrrhic victory is where we won, but the cost was too great that it made the victory pointless.
That's what I'm saying. A Pyrrhic victory involves us going deep into Iran, going full total war, subduing their government, installing a puppet, and that's your victory. That's what it means. A Pyrrhic victory is where you win, but at the cost of us losing our empire, going completely bankrupt, whatever else happening that is second, third order effects, some blowback. That's a Pyrrhic victory. So what you're saying is you're hoping for that, which means we would have to go to war, right? I don't want a Pyrrhic victory. I want us to cut our losses and walk away as it stands on the ground today. Walk away, give them their reparations, reign in Israel, and normalize relations with all the countries in the world so we can keep the empire going. We get a money train. And it's probably already too late, by the way, because we have a reputation to maintain and we just got found out. Yeah, this is not good. This is not good at all. Yeah, I'm not saying that's what you want, but you were saying if it's going to be a Pyrrhic victory, I'm just saying for it to be even just a Pyrrhic victory, it means we would have to engage them in total war. Yeah.
And of course, NATO is angry at Donald Trump because previously Donald Trump threatened to take over Greenland.
Yeah, it's over, boys. It's over. We've done irreparable damage to our reputation. We wield the kind of power and influence that we do because there's a soft form of power through our reputation and understanding that we can fuck up any country we want. And we can't get the strait open. This is a strategic failure. Massive. We're the world empire. We are the hegemon. We can't force a strait open. This is not good. Now other countries, other potential enemies are going to look at this and go, America is just not as invincible as we thought. There's a complete difference between obviously invading America's heartland and shit like that. It's practically impossible. But it's something else entirely for American influence to have the power it did over other countries and their sovereignty. You can resist America now. America doesn't have the appetite to go to war. We're seeing it with Iran. And if they do have the appetite, if your people just hold on long enough, you can make the war too costly for Americans to engage in. Yeah. It is David and Goliath.
Okay, so everyone thinks Donald Trump is a moron. He doesn't plan ahead. Because before this war in Iran, where he needs the help of NATO, he was pissing off NATO by threatening to take over Greenland. So Donald Trump is over the place. He's just a moron, right?
Yeah, but he came out recently. He said something about, what was it, Pete Hegseth? Something about some kind of like a Monroe Doctrine. We wanted to take Greenland. We wanted to secure our hemisphere completely and control Canada too. We were making jokes about making all of Canada a 51st state. So we're trying to make like a greater America, essentially. Okay, dude. But in doing so, you alienated Canada. You made them vote a liberal leftist government. You pissed off all of your European partners. You tried to take over Greenland. You're actively undermining Denmark. So then now that you got into your war, you called up NATO to help you. Why the fuck would NATO help you when you shit on NATO? Not only shit on NATO, but shit on them individually. And that's with the tariff stuff too. I didn't even mention the tariffs. We were absolutely willing to destroy the economies of Europe and Canada if they wouldn't play ball on tariffs and bend the knee. So, okay, bro. Then America's like, help us in the strait. And everyone else is like, go fuck yourself. You started this shit. And by the way, you forgot you tried to tax us to death. Oh, and did you forget you tried to take over some of our land? Oh, and did you forget you were talking shit and saying this, that, and the other? This is not how you normalize relations with one of your very few allies that you have. You think the Arabs are going to join in and make a difference and fight for the United States in the Middle East? Fuck no. They just want their money. Europe and Europeans would have been the only nations that would have been willing to fight alongside America. Your only fucking ally. Even Israel was like, should America institute boots on the ground? Should boots on the ground be activated? We're not joining. We're busy in Lebanon. So Israel will not put boots on the ground alongside American soldiers. You feel you're winning yet? You tired of winning? That's crazy.
A damp 911 donated $5. We cannot walk away. Iran wants all U.S. bases closed in the Middle East. Trillions in reparations. Trump's ego won't allow it. Many are saying the U.S. is stuck in this conflict. Didn't Israel sell U.S. military tech to China recently?
Israel plays both sides. When we're negotiating with somebody, like I told you in yesterday's update, they bombed him. They literally killed his wife. They put him in the hospital. That was like one of the last guys left that we actively were back channeling with in Pakistan. Israel finds out, boom, bombed his ass. Bombed the other ones we were dealing with too. Every time there seems to be a potential for a ceasefire, Israel bombs everybody at the table that the United States is negotiating with. That shit's over with.
But let's just assume, okay, that the ground invasion goes ahead. What will happen? Well, as I predicted before, if a ground invasion were to go ahead, first of all, America would lose this war because the ground invasion would fail, and the Iranians are fully prepared for a ground invasion. Second of all, if America loses this war, the American empire would die because we'd be forced out of the Middle East. They would lose the petrodollar and the US dollar as a global reserve currency. And the third thing is the global economy would collapse. So clearly, Donald Trump is the worst president in human history. And he's a complete buffoon, right? Okay, but let's put our thinking caps on. Okay, let's use game theory and say, but what if, for some strange reason, Donald Trump wants to lose this war in Iran? What if he wants the American empire to collapse? What if Donald Trump wants to destroy the global economy? And then he'd be a genius, right? Right? He's a moron because he's going to destroy the American empire. But if he actually wants to destroy the American empire, then the man is the greatest American president ever, okay? Okay, so we're gonna have a fun class today, and we're gonna make the argument that in fact, Donald Trump is a genius. That in fact, all this chaos is purposeful. That there's actually a plan behind all this, okay? That's the argument I want to make to you today. Okay, so what is the plan? What is going on here? All right, so first thing to notice is that the world gets 20%, okay? 20% of its oil from the Middle East, okay? Primarily going to East Asia. So India gets about 6% of its oil from the Middle East. Japan gets 75% of its oil from the Middle East. So East Asia is heavily dependent on Middle East oil, okay? But as you can see, it also goes to Europe as well, and then also to the United States. All right, so the world is dependent on the GCC oil. If this war continues, if ground forces are used, then all the oil from the Middle East collapses. And JP Morgan has come out and said that by mid-April, the world will run out of oil.
At the Carousel Painter donated €5. Knowing how both US and Germany banks kept the war ongoing in 1916 when Germany was about to win, I wonder how much of it all is a setup nowadays.
Well, look, all wars are banker wars. There's a lot of stuff that's tied into the monetary system that we're currently in. We talked about it yesterday, the Dodd thesis. It's true. We got to print more money. We need a reason to print money. The $200 billion represents an injection in the system that it desperately needs. Our economy is not really producing much. The interest rates are still too high. So we're going after some resources. We've got to wipe away the debt, or at least get people to not pay attention to that number. And the easiest way to do this was with war. Always, war is how you wipe debt. This is kicking the can down the road. It got to a point where we become so broke, or the interest to service the debt is so high, it becomes unpayable essentially. And so we got to go to war and get other countries' resources in order to reset the board. It is what it is. Germany put itself in that position too. Nazi Germany with those T-bills that they were financing the war machine. They were about to go bust. Their economy actually structurally had some problems underneath, and they needed to take some other countries and their wealth, and they kind of pillaged the treasury of some of the other countries they took over. And so the war machine kept going. They were spending too much. Obviously, they were preparing for a war too, but there was some structural problem. If you read deeper into Nazi Germany's economy, very interesting stuff. We're kind of experiencing something similar at a different level.
Okay? So this is a disaster for the world. But it's just much more than energy needs, okay? So because Iran is constraining movement in the Strait of Hormuz, we're seeing 7 major shortages, okay? So yes, we know oil and LNG are being stopped, okay? But actually the problem is much worse, because look at phosphate, ammonium, sulfur, urea. This is food production, okay? Primarily used for fertilizers. In other words, if this war persists, not only will countries run out of energy, they'll also run out of food, okay? Also, look at this. Helium and sulfur are used for what? They're used for semiconductors, the production of semiconductors.
Chips.
You use helium and sulfuric acid in the production of semiconductors, which leads to AI, okay? So, in other words, this war in the Middle East, it's impacting everything in the modern economy, okay? If this war continues, the global economy could collapse. But again, we're making the assumption that Donald Trump is a genius, and this is all part of his big plan, okay? So what is his plan? All right. So, okay, we know that there's a lot of oil in the Middle East, okay? But, you know, oil is not as rare as people think it is. There's also a lot of oil in Canada. Venezuela has the world's largest oil reserves, okay? Russia also has a lot of oil. So in other words, if
maybe the war is the reason I saw all the bananas sold out at Walmart. Is that a thing? Are the shelves starting to empty out? Have you guys noticed that at all? Anybody else? Is that actually happening? It'd be interesting.
The Strait of Hormuz is closed. If this war in the GCC continues, it doesn't mean the world no longer has oil. All it means is the world is now much more dependent on North America and Russia.
And remember, if that is the case, then in 2 to 3 weeks, because he says this is not ending for 2 to 3 weeks, shelves are starting to empty in Hawaii. Oof.
For oil. And so the global economy now shifts over to North America and to Russia. Okay? So in other words, the United States starts a stupid war in the GCC in the Middle East. It can't possibly win, but it still benefits, because now the world is much more dependent on North America, okay? Why is Venezuela important? Because America just took over Venezuela in January, okay? And look, Canada has a lot of oil, and Trump is threatening to take over Canada, okay? So now let's look at who needs the oil. Well, this map tells you that if you're in the red, you consume more oil than you export. And who are these countries? Well, they're Europe, okay? And they are East Asia, as well as Australia. Okay? So, yes, I understand. Donald Trump.
Thanks, brother. Covers the mid-1800s to the state of Western civilization.
An idiot. Yes, I understand that he's going to lose this war in the Middle East. Yes, I understand he's going to destroy the global economy, but for some strange reason, he benefits. And the United States benefits. Because now, Europe and China, Japan, Australia, they are much more dependent on North America for resources, for food, for energy. Okay? All right, food. Okay, so nitrogen is important for fertilizers. Okay, you need nitrogen for fertilizers. And as you can, and what this map tells you is that if you are in the blue or the light blue, it means you produce more nitrogen than you need, so you export it. If you are not in the blue, then you're kind of screwed. Okay, so basically, this area especially, this area. Okay, Europe, as some parts of Europe. Okay. So now they need more nitrogen. And again, before they were getting a lot of nitrogen, ammonia, from the Middle East. And now, where are they?
Stock up on rice, boys. Get those 25 bag pounds at Costco. 25-pound bags. And something else to go along with it. If this goes on and on. Hey, if he says after these 2-3 weeks, that there's going to be another 2-3 weeks, I think the market is just going to price in a larger war. The market still does not believe that this war will last much longer than like a month or so. The market really thinks like he's going to correct everything, walk away, declare early victory, and that's it. There she goes. America didn't get all her objectives done, but set Iran back decades. Well, Iran doesn't want to stop the war. They've already rejected all the peace offers, all the ceasefire offers, everything. All the demands of Israel and America were rejected. And Iran has been staunch in their demands that all American bases must go. That's obviously a no-no for us. And no American or Israeli ship will ever be allowed to pass the Strait of Hormuz ever again in perpetuity. That's another one that's just not going to vibe well with the administration. And there you go. So prepare your assholes. Now, if this does go on and the market finally prices in full-blown war, we're in a quagmire for years, there will be no safe haven assets. Gold is not going to be safe. Food is going to cost a tremendous amount of money. Silver won't be safe. Nothing. The entire stock market is going to take a massive shit. If oil spikes to 150, what is the crude price? What's the dated Brent? I saw it was like 140 something, 130 something. Dated Brent prices surges above 140. That was reported a day ago. Real world oil price soars highest level since 2008. The world's most important price for real world oil barrels surged above $140 on Thursday. Wow. Oil. Jeez Louise. Hey, didn't we tell you? I got called an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know how financial markets work. Blah, 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 blah. Gas hasn't done anything. I'm paying the same at the pump. That's what they were telling me 2-3 weeks ago when I was telling you guys, hey, it's about to get real difficult. We're about to go beyond Biden era prices potentially in a very short amount of time. Should this continue? Nah, bro, go back to dating. Go back to date, bro. Go back and watch every Iran war update, you fucking moron. It's all happening. Trust the plan. Start putting those stickers up on the gas stations. I did that, but with Trump this time, not Biden. Right? Morons.
To get the nitrogen from here and from here. Okay? So again, yes, I know Donald Trump's losing this war in the Middle East, but in the long term, America stands to benefit. Right.
Plan trusters.
Last thing I want to look at is water. Okay, water is important because water tells us which areas are the most stable. Basically, if you have a lot of water, you're less prone to conflict. But if you don't have that much water, then you're prone to conflict. Okay, so we look at. So if you're in a dark blue, you're good. Okay, nothing to worry about. If you are in the light blue, you are in a lot of trouble. Okay, so if we look at this area, North America, pretty stable. Because lots and lots of fresh water, okay? If you look at Russia, pretty stable, lots and lots of fresh water. But if you're Africa, you're in a lot of trouble. If you're Europe, you're in a lot of trouble. If you are Middle East, you're in a lot of trouble. If you are Southeast Asia, you are not much trouble, but you are in some trouble, okay? So we already see how this map tells us where in the future, basically Russia and the United States, North America, are the most stable parts of the world with the most resources. And therefore, they are the most resilient, the most stable, okay? But if you go to Africa, Europe, Middle East, Southeast Asia, these are points of conflict in the world. So we can expect these places to become much more unstable over time. So in other words, all the United States and Russia have to do is maintain stability and then export resources to these places. And guess what?
At Navusnox17 donated $20. I will say this, Bo is saying things that can spark wonderful discussion and solutions, but chat, be better. Add to the discussion.
Hey, thanks for the 20, brother. Well, you expect a lot of the internet. Yeah.
And then they make a lot of money for themselves. Okay? So again, I understand Donald Trump's an idiot. I understand this war in the Middle East is stupid, but from a long-term game theory perspective, the United States wins from this disaster, from a long-term perspective, okay? Now, you look at this map, you think, well, China's pretty good too, right? Like China has a lot of fresh water. The problem with China, though, is this. China sits on a lot of fresh water that Southeast Asia and India depends on, okay? So a lot of water is in the Tibetan Plateau. It flows downstream into India and in Southeast Asia. If there were a drought, using game theory, we can suspect that China might want to keep the water for itself, right? In which case, Southeast Asia and India would be very angry, okay? So this is a potential flashpoint that we have to watch out for.
The water wars of the future,
so
eh?
It seems like China is stable, but the surrounding areas are not so stable. And so China will be dragged into a conflict, okay? All right, so let's summarize what we've learned so far. So these are the countries with the most oil reserves, okay? Venezuela.
Boys, if you haven't, head over to Kick. I'll paste it in the chat. We'll be headed there after this episode. And we're going to continue. Hit the like up button on the YouTube stream if you haven't already. We'll see you over there after this.
Saudi Arabia, Iran, Canada, Iraq, UAE, Kuwait, United States, Russia. Okay. All right. Now what's interesting about this is this. This war in the Middle East is going to knock out the oil production of Saudi Arabia, of Iran, of Iraq, of UAE, of Kuwait, which leaves what? Which leaves, Venezuela, Canada, and the United States, okay? North America, and Russia.
Oh, on the Cuba situation, Mexico's defying the U.S., I guess you could say. They're the second Latin American country, if I'm not mistaken, that is providing them with oil. So Mexico has started sending some relief supplies over to Cuba. Interesting.
At Zachralale 4103 donated $4.99. Thanks for bringing coverage to all of this, saluting face. Keep up the great work.
Thanks, Zach. Appreciate you, really.
Okay. Now, then let's look at who has to buy oil. All right, let's look at who buys oil. Well, the United States consumes a lot of oil, but again, it has its own supply of oil. China needs to import a lot of its oil needs, okay? So China imports about 75% of its oil needs. India, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Brazil, Japan, South Korea, okay? Germany, all right? So China, India, Japan, South Korea imports a lot of oil. And where does it get its oil from? The Middle East, right? So if it can't get its oil from the Middle East, then these four countries, China, India, Japan, and South Korea, will need to get the oil either from the United States or Russia. Okay? And why does this matter? Well, let's look at this. Let's look at who owns the most U.S. treasuries. Basically, if you own a lot of U.S. treasuries, it means that you are financing American debt. America right now is $39 trillion in debt. That's a lot of money, but as long as people continue to buy U.S. debt, as long as people want to buy US Treasuries. It's not a problem, okay? It's a Ponzi scheme. Okay. So let's look at this. Who are the biggest holders of US debt? Japan, China, right? Taiwan, Singapore, Hong Kong, India. Okay, so this is all Asia. And we already said that Asia needs our oil from the Middle East, right? Now let's look at others. United Kingdom in second, okay? Cayman Islands is basically just Europe as well. It's a money laundering operation, okay? Belgium, Luxembourg, Canada, France, Ireland, Switzerland. These countries are Europe. And again, where do we say most oil from the GCC go? It goes to either Asia or Europe. And now because of the stupid war in the Middle East, Asia and Europe are now forced to buy oil from either Russia or the United States. And this is important, okay? This is important.
Or like we just read earlier, they make deals with Iran. So maybe they're forced to make a deal with Iran and settle in euros and save their economies. Why wouldn't they?
Because previously, there's a fear that these countries would stop buying.
Also, that's a brilliant strategic move, because if you do offer them this out, then Europe will not join America's coalition. Why would they? Iran no longer threatens to strike European bases that are helping, that the United States is using to move material over. Instead, what they're going to do is allow all the European countries to settle in euros. So all their supplies keep on functioning as they normally would be. And so the appetite for joining America on a coalition gets brought down to zero. There is no urgent need anymore because we have a separate deal to settle internationally for oil in euros. That's better than settling in dollars. Settling in euros for the European Union is great. This is an incredible play by Iran. Should that deal go through and they negotiate with the EU as a whole block? Wow, dude. Stupendous. That's a 5D chess move. America literally fucked itself with that one. They cannot ask European nations to join in and bomb Iran because they have access to oil again. And now, because the oil is flowing back into Europe, Europe can now start pressuring the United States to wind down operations and fuck off. That's so interesting. I'm so curious how this is going to play out.
U.S. Treasuries, because America is too heavily in debt. The American economy is too much of a Ponzi scheme. So there's this great fear that Europe and Asia would move away from the US dollar and more towards Swiss francs or gold, okay? Now, because Europe and Asia need fertilizer, they need energy from the United States and North America, the United States no longer has to worry about its debt, okay?
Cuba donated £4.99. In UK we got signs up saying no diesel. It's a struggle for drivers to find diesel even though prices up high AF. Wondering about next week.
I heard the same shit for Asian countries. They're starting to ration gas now. That's going to be interesting. Again, remember, there's a 2 to 3 week supply lag. We're going to actually deal with a real supply shortage in the next month or so. Like at the end of this month, at the end of April, the real supply shock will permeate through all of the markets and you will feel it directly in your wallet. You're just dealing with the initial repercussions of starting the war and supplies being constrained in the future. Wait until you see what'll happen in gas prices, oil per barrel cost, all this shit. We're going to enter into a recession according to, this is not me, according to Larry Fink, head of BlackRock. Barrels at 150 is going to bring in a global recession at 150. What does barrels at 200 do? What does barrels at 150 for a prolonged time, like 2-3 years, do potentially? Because we're not just in a supply shortage. We've actually bombed the infrastructure that supplies, say, LNG, that supplies oil, that supplies the fertilizer, the urea from the Middle East. What happens then as it takes years to rebuild and normalize production to previous levels before the war? That's a major gap. So we're going to be in I guess, chronic shortages for the next couple of years. And so we're going to have elevated prices for the next couple of years. Well, that destroys economic production. That GDP number will no longer be positive. We're going to enter into negative territory or zero growth. The worst of the worst potentially that's coming is stagflation.
All right, the $39 trillion debt, not a problem because the entire world is dependent on North America for resources. The Ponzi can keep on going. So again, Donald Trump is an idiot, but he's so stupid, he's become a genius. Okay? All right, now you're like, wait, but Donald Trump's an idiot. Where would he get this idea from? How would he know how to do this? And the answer is because Putin has already proven that this strategy works in Ukraine. Okay, so let me show you how. Okay, so this is the war in Ukraine. And as you can see, the dark red are areas in which Russia is contesting territory. The light red, the pink are areas in which Russia wants to gain territory. As you can see, Russia still has a long way to go. And we're already 4 or 5 years into this war, which means that this war can go on for another 10, 20 years. It's a very slow grind. And it's good for Russia. Yes, I know that Russia is losing a lot of soldiers, and I know that the Russian economy is suffering, but this long war of attrition is good for Russia. Why? Well, because first of all, what it does is it allows Russia to industrialize its economy. Okay? It allows Russia to
wartime footing, mass production, debt disappearing. Yes, sir.
At Mertuba donated £9 and 99 pence. I'm working for Amazon in UK getting 260 a day with VAT. Just mentioning last Kinra my fuel was 130 British pounds a week. Now it's 170 a week, and workload dropped from 5 days a week to 3 standard if lucky 4 days.
Golly, dude. I saw Amazon is going to have a gas surcharge for everybody that's ordering products now, 3 to 5%, something like that. Did you guys see that? There's going to be a surcharge on everything you order now. It's already starting. Companies are preparing. The cost will be passed down to you. You think these companies are going to take a cut in their profitability, their bottom line? Absolutely not, man.
Its economy around war production.
That's crazy, so bro. Stop donating. Save your money. Holy shit.
Total industry.
You need to be saving your money, bro. You need to not. I appreciate you, but you need to stop. Start penny pinching. Holy fuck. That's not good.
Okay, and as you can see, it's been going up since the war started. All right, overall industry has been going up as well. Unfortunately, industries that are not dominated by the military, that have no war purpose, it's actually going down. Okay? So it seems as though the entire Russian economy is being restructured for total war, for a long war. And that is the purpose, that is the goal. Okay, so again, the pink are military industries. The blue are civilian industries. And as you can see, the pink completely dominate the blue. And the trend is increasing.
So is it 25 pounds of rice, 25 pounds of beans, 25 pounds of flour?
Meaning it's possible in 4 or 5 years' time, Russia is primarily a war economy, industrializing to produce war weapons, okay, munitions. Specifically,
what's going on, Big Red?
Drones, okay? These are drones. All right. So, before, at the beginning of the war, Russia was dependent on Iran for drones, okay? But then what happened over time is that Russia started to have its own domestic production, okay? So imports from Iran have stayed constant, and then domestic production has gone way up, which tells us that...
I measure my rice and bean storage in tons. Calm down, doomsday prepper. Holy hell.
The Russian economy is industrializing for the production of drones. And Russia is preparing to fight a long, long war. Now, not only can Russia produce its own drones for the war, but it can also export its drones to Iran to fight against the Americans. Okay? And so you're like, wait a minute here. So Russia is switching its entire economy to war production, which means that Russia will always fight wars. Is that what Russia's planning? And the answer is yes, it is. Okay? And so let me explain why Russia's planning this. This is something called the Third Rome Plan. Okay? And this comes from the 1996 book, Foundations of Geopolitics, okay, by Alexander Dugin, who I think is one of the smartest geopolitical thinkers alive today. Okay, and his argument is this. His argument is
glazing.
This unipolar moment of.
It's actually important to read Dugin because that's essentially Russia's strategy, pretty much everything, and I think he's extremely close to Putin too. So all the geopolitical implications that Russia is finding itself in, yeah. All the political theory that it bases all its strategic moves on is pretty much what Dugin is saying. So if you've read his books, you'll kind of see the way Russia views itself in the world currently.
Cuba donated 4 British pounds and 99 pence. Thanks for the advice, Bo, but we are anyways. Future looking down a smiling pile of poo. Tried to save for years, but what to invest? Let's say I got 100K, what to do?
I couldn't give you advice, brother, because if it went downhill and you didn't make money, I'd feel bad. So do your research. Look at what happened in the Great Depression. Look at what happened in the 2008 recession. Find your way from there. I don't want to be that guy. No financial advice here.
American dominance. It's going to fade away because it's too much focus on
the only financial advice I'll give you is you get that Claude Pro plan and you start to code up your own something, an application, help it develop a business, tell it you got $100,000, tell it what you want to do, what you're good at, go do deep research into a incredible detailed report of what you should do. It'll go pull 800, 900 sources about the market products, the categories you're trying to get into, the niche, the whatever the fuck, dude. You got to do something. You're going to need to use that shit. So it'll do all the research for you. That's what I'm working on. I got some apps that I'm going to release on the App Store. I got this unified chat system that I'm working on. I maxed out my fucking plan. I have to wait until tomorrow to be able to use more. So we've been doing hella work in the background.
Individualism, liberalism, and these ideas break apart community. These ideas are anti-human. So eventually, Western society, Western civilization will collapse because its values are abhorrent. And when it collapses, this gives opportunity for Moscow to become the third Rome, okay? We'll talk more about this in the future. But what's brilliant about Dugin is he recognizes that when the world collapses, all Russia has to do is stay stable and resilient. As long as it stays together, unified, cohesive, it'll be fine, okay? Because as this global order collapses, as the global economy collapses, every other society will face eternal collapse, such as the United States, okay? So he predicts civil war in the United States as left and right go to war against each other, okay? He predicts collapse of China. He predicts collapse of the Middle East. He predicts collapse of Europe, okay? So all these places are collapsing. Basically, if you are the main pillar of the global economy, you are much more susceptible to collapse than if you are not, okay? So what Dugin says is this, okay, all right. So the strategy is, first of all, Russia needs to stay coherent. It needs to defend its territory. It needs to unify its people through nationalism, through religion, okay, through faith. And then what Russia needs to do is figure out allies.
We literally imported our civil war. I believe that 100%. I think America, I don't want to sound like a doomer, but I think America is past the point of no return. When you look at demographically, I mean, demographics are destiny. That's true. America is over with. There's no way this country is going to be able to hold itself together long term. You already have a massive division between the two political parties. The country is split in half. I don't see how we survive, especially when you add some civilizational shocks like a major war, global depression, something else that would stress the empire to the point where it starts to recede inward. And even then, what happens? A Californian isn't going to agree with the Texan. We practically, it's amazing that a country the size of the United States is able to convince some dude in Florida that he is, of kin with some fucker in California, that they're the same countryman. You know how crazy that is? Dude, America stretches pretty much from Europe end to end and then some. I think if you were to lay the United States on a map across Europe, it goes all the way in Tehran, if I'm not mistaken. So that would be the equivalent of some British dude thinking that some dude in Tehran, Iran, is his fellow countryman. Do you understand what an achievement that is? Do you understand that now that we've imported all these third worlders in the United States, we don't have racial, homogeneity anymore at 95% or more? America was what, up until 1975, 1980, 95% white. You think you're going to hold a country this large together when it has become a multiracial, diverse hellhole? We have the carve-outs already. They're taking political power. Parts of the United States belong to the mass amounts of migrants that live there. Look at what happened in Minnesota with the Somalis. You basically can't win without Somali support. The Somalis have now started voting in their own people. They're getting congressional seats. They're in the Senate. Soon they will be in the presidency. It's already happening. You will not be able to hold power as a native anymore. You're getting elbowed out of your own country. Your own country is being infinitesimally divided based on racial lines, tribal lines, where all these third worlders are coming from, and they, aggregate together in one area, and then they turn it into their country they came from, or they wield power for themselves. They hire themselves. I'm telling you, man, this shit's crazy to watch. It's happening they have balkanization happening live. When looking at it historically, every single empire, like the Roman Empire and all stuff, the Roman Empire's fall started way before the empire itself fell officially. You got to understand, as the empire grew in strength and expanded, and then third worlders, you can't call them third worlders back then, but on the periphery of the empire, on its frontiers, the edges of the empire, those people started moving in closer and closer to Rome. Those people from the edges of the empire started mixing with the Roman populations. The Eastern mysticism and all that stuff. The religious change that the Roman Empire was going towards. The division is almost like a caste system between the Romans and those on the far edges of the empire. You have a whole bunch of people mixing in the empire like this, creating their own carve-outs of influence and power, and they're gaining more and more power and using that influence to buy more influence to get closer to the seat of Rome. And then eventually what you had was the Roman Empire, way before it fell, was already too diversified to function properly at all. You had massive corruption, civic sense, national duty, absolutely plummeted through the floor. People then started getting into materialism, into their possessions, into hedonism, sex, all this degeneracy, rampant everywhere. The elites at the top were completely degenerate, just like our elites are now, and not having babies. Nobody's having kids anymore in that multi-ethnic empire. You're no longer a Roman soldier, citizen soldier with your own plot of land. You have foreigners now that are citizen soldiers. You have people that are in with their own kin in their own tribal groups now. Everybody's fighting down at the neighborhood level, you could say, for power, for influence, for control. This is America. America's going through the same shit. We're just speed running it because there weren't airplanes back in the day in the Roman times. You can just fly into another place. You can just easily cross borders like that and get all the way to Rome. You could fly from the other side of the fucking world in a couple hours, be in the United States. Completely different country, completely different system. It's insane. Our Constitution here in the United States is not built for the modern world. This is why you have crazy shit happening. Like they're discussing on Fox News, like birthright citizenship and all that stuff. How the Chinese, there's like millionaires and billionaires that literally have services. There's 12, 13, I don't know how many a company set up in China just to fly in these women so that they can just fly by, give birth in the United States, grant citizenship. It's wild. It's wild to see people taking advantage of the system. The founding fathers could never foresee some shit like this happening. Yeah. A completely different world than the one that they were brought into. So this nationalism that's rising again is because people finally see the truth. You cannot have multicultural countries. Multi-ethnic societies don't function well. They never have. They always get destroyed. You always create multiple friction points for power and then eventually war. We are fucked. Yeah, we are fucked. That's the truth. That's the brutal black pill. The question is, how long do we keep it together in this, like, you know, hobbled state? We got a little duct tape here and there. We got a little bit of like glue here and there, just holding this shit together.
Edward Huber donated £9 and 99 pence to chat. If you want to look good, invent something believable, invest in ads and rob PPL. New way to get rich. But don't work for me. I'm humble guy wishing was born 50 years ago so I could bullshit your new ways.
Thanks, brother.
That would support the Russian outlook. And these allies could include Japan. Okay?
Yeah, and then, you know, what's annoying about this conversation is because everybody knows that this is a problem. Everybody knows that. Oh, because you can look at it. Augustus, dude. What was one of the first things he instituted when he came into power after Caesar? He tried to get people to have more kids. One of the changes that Augustus had was try to have a pro-natalist policy because they weren't having kids already. People don't know that Caesar is a symptom of the empire failing already. Caesar only happened because there was problems with well, you couldn't call it an empire, but the republic. That's what was he is a symptom, just like Trump is a symptom. The only reason Trump is in power now is because the symptoms that we're all dealing with, the state of society. How could someone like Trump ever become president? Look at the state of America. How could something like Caesar ever come about? Because the state of Rome was unhealthy. So Rome was already declining. It gained more power later. It conquered more nations. It went to war. It did all that shit. Sure, it reached the height at like Trajan and all this other stuff, land-wise. Yeah. But that stone way back there before Caesar was set in motion that the eventual decline of the empire had started. When your native population does not have kids, what you do is essentially delaying the inevitable. That was what the Roman Empire was doing, just delaying the inevitable, starting to use Germanics and Gauls and all these other people at the frontiers in the Roman legions, starting to use all the other people from the other frontiers, granting people citizenship in the empire, totally. So citizenship meant nothing, struggling to collect taxes, then taxing their citizens to death, then all the other financial issues that they were having, essentially inflation, coin clipping, all that stuff. Devaluing the coins by mixing in the metals, less gold, less silver. All of these things were just buying time for the empire that was essentially slowly collapsing, because the number one thing that kept the empire together was you had Romans who had invested directly in the land as soldiers. They were directly invested. They had roots to the ground to their fellow countrymen in the land they were tilling and the wars that they were fighting. Rome at its peak was when it was pretty much Roman only, when it was the Romans going to war against Carthage, straight up only Romans fighting in the Roman war. Then you had all these mixed legions and all this other shit happening. And the empire was just another one of many little checkpoints to dissolving, essentially say. History just repeats its way. Yeah.
Vietnam, India, Iran. Okay? And then
yeah, people don't know. They think, yeah, Rome took 300 years to fall. People think like the start of the fall of Rome was much later than it really was. You can't be, like, if you look at Augustus and just think, why the fuck would he need to institute pro-natalist policies? Like, that's a problem. So the dominoes were falling long before. It just accelerated towards the end. Same shit with us. The dominoes for America started falling way before people think like, oh, America's only shit in the last 20 years, last 30 years, or they say the 1960s. No, bro, America's fall started when it went against the founding fathers. They brought in a central bank. Okay. Then they started with a personal income tax to fund the war. Then the income tax never went away. Then they did other shit. You could just follow its trajectory, just delaying the inevitable. We got off the gold standard. Why would you get off the gold standard? And then we issued in the petrodollar. And now the petrodollar is being threatened. And then we had something like Citizens United. So corporations are now people. What? So now money is free speech. Wow. Do you see how it just goes down slowly? This is your managed decline. The empire going to war and all this shit. Why do you think we're doing this? Dude, we're desperate. We need to save the empire. We're fucking broke. All our options are getting increasingly more and more violent because the situation is increasingly more dire.
And by combining their forces, they become a trading bloc onto themselves. This is an age of nuclear weapons. You don't want to go to war against each other. But this is also an age of collapse. So as long as you're able to stay coherent, as long as you're able to defend your borders, then you'll come out ahead, okay? So that's the idea of moving towards war, because war has a power to unify the imagination and the beliefs of the people in your nation, right? So using war in order to increase the nationalism, the religion of your society, which will allow you to weather the storm better, okay? So that is the grand vision of Alexander Dugin. And in my opinion, he is absolutely correct. And Russia is moving towards this.
Yeah, you got to look at the racial makeup of America, man. How are we going to weather the storm? How are we going to be the ones that survive hard times and shoulder to shoulder when we hate each other? Why do we hate each other? Because we're different. Because a white person is going to look at another white person with that kind of trust. But will a black person look at a white person like, will a Hispanic look at a white or a black like that? Will an Asian look at? No, people stick with their own. In hard times, people withdraw and stick to their own. And in hard times, you start to look at everybody else as an enemy. We do already look at everybody else. Your neighbor's your enemy. If he voted Republican, I have a moron that's across the street from me that says say no to ICE and has some number to call, whatever the fuck. They're anti-ICE for the mass deportations that never even happened. Now imagine you're a staunch Republican and you see that stupid sticker and you go, that person's the enemy. That woke retard over there is the enemy. They're in a Hispanic family too, by the way. So there you go. So now you're sitting, we're all in this neighborhood. It's mixed. I got blacks, whites, Hispanics, Asians in this neighborhood. And then that dude's got anti-ICE because they're Hispanic. And then let's just say I was a conservative MAGA and I was like pro-ICE because we need to deport immigrants. And then you have somebody else with different problems from the black family and someone else with different issues from the Asian family. And what elbows are we going to lock in together and weather the storm? The first thing the white family is going to say is like, well, if we just deported all these people, and then the Hispanic family is going to say, well, if they would just let us in the country so we could just work hard, if they weren't picking on us all the time, what did we do? And the black family is like, we haven't got our reparations. This fucking government's got no jobs. Shit. And the Asians are like, my kid's not getting into college because he's Asian and has to score 10x what everybody else does. Shit like that. Everybody's got their own little racial issues, bro. You think this country can come together on any issue whatsoever? Fuck, man. This is why multiculturalism was a trap. It was literally the poison pill for American hegemony in the world. This is America falling apart from the inside out. You never got your mass deportation because Hispanics have grown to such a large amount that you need their vote to win now. It's over for you. It's over. You're not getting your mass deportation. This is why they don't happen. You're going to separate the families of the second largest voting bloc now? Really? Bro, you have no idea. Holy shit. Why do you think they bring them in by the millions like that? Who knows how far back this goes? Who are the masterminds behind this shit? This is almost engineered, right? You got to look at it from a global perspective. How is it that all of America, all of Canada, all of Australia, New Zealand, all of Europe, how is it that the entire collective West in different hemispheres. How is it that they all instituted all this melting pot ideology, mass open borders, diverse multicultural societies all at once? And then it caused destabilization. It caused the lowest civic turnout. People don't invest in their neighborhoods anymore. Friction with rapes and murders and all of this shit. Civil strife. And now we have new wars that are just popping up all over the place. All of a sudden, in an already fragile system. It's almost like it was engineered, isn't it? Weird that it's happening. If it was happening in just one country, you could just call them crazy. But it's happening in the West in general. And then we're having a new world order instituted right in front of us. And who wins from this? Isn't that fucking weird? Yeah, how was this not a plan? What is this even then? How is it so well coordinated if it's not a plan?
By invading Ukraine, all right? So the Ukraine invasion was not a response to NATO. The Ukraine invasion was to implement this grand vision for the creation of the Third Rome, to allow Russia to survive the coming collapse of the global order better than anyone else, okay? And so by taking over Ukraine, you now control 1/3 of the world's carbohydrates and a lot of the world's energy, right? Once you control Ukraine and the Black Sea, you're now able to export your energy and your food to Africa, to the Middle East, to Europe, to Asia, okay? So that's the grand vision for Russia. And again, in my opinion, this makes a lot of sense. The world is collapsing, and so you have to build a fortress. You have to be self-sufficient in order to weather the storm. So given this, America's like, well, we can do the same thing, okay? And so the grand plan for America is something called the Detonate, okay? Sorry. This is something we'll discuss more later on, okay? But first I want to introduce this idea to you, the Detonate. And the Detonate is very simple. It's the idea that, you know what? Yes, the world is going into chaos. The world is collapsing. But North America is self-sufficient. Right? So these past few months, Donald Trump has been picking a fight with Denmark over Greenland, right? He's been threatening Canada. He's been threatening Mexico. He's been threatening Colombia. He's thinking over Venezuela. He's been threatening Cuba. He's been threatening Honduras, Nicaragua. Why is he doing this? Because they're all part of the grand vision for Greater North America. Okay, what Peter Hegseth calls Greater North America. The Detonate. Right? And this is a response to Moscow's Third Rome. If Moscow is going to build this grand alliance in order to weather the storm, then America has no choice but to also build this grand alliance as well in order to protect itself in this coming storm. Right? So what Donald Trump has recognized is that Putin is right. The world is collapsing. There's nothing we can do to save the world. So let's just accelerate it in a way that allows America to benefit from this collapse.
Accelerate,
okay?
eh?
So by collapsing the GCC, by collapsing the Middle East, you make Asia and Europe now dependent on North American energy and fertilizer exports. And this allows you the resources, the motivation to create the Detonate.
A damp 911 donated $5. I was having a conversation with a couple of neighbors and the conversation turned into, who would I attack first in the neighborhood if a purge-like situation happened? It turned into politics that they would attack the other side. It's insane. I left.
I told you. Yeah, buddy. Wait until shit gets really bad.
At Cuba donated £4 and 99 pence. Europe UK done. Ask yourself ISIT by accident, then go out on the street. No more nationalism. Culture is done and try to ask questions. This BDINE in UK.
I see a little bit of it turning around with Restore Britain, though. It's interesting that Restore Britain is now at third most popular or fourth most popular party now and gaining. So it'll be the top three most popular parties. So you have a potential coalition with what? Reform and Restore, which is what? Number 1 and number 3, let's say. And so, okay, you'll get a center-right coalition in Britain. And it's the Home Office in the UK already mentioned on 2 tweets that they're going to investigate the grooming gangs and specifically by race and ethnicity to get the truth. And then they'll no longer send people home to arrest people for mean tweets. That's a major shift. That's the left in power currently. So the left is already changing their tune, and the Overton window has shifted right because they're getting killed at the polls. Europe has undergone a massive shift right, and so many parties have now won record numbers of seats, record numbers of cities because of everything that's going on. And so the left is kind of left to react essentially to all the power that they're losing. It's fake though. Don't let them get any power back. Like the left should be fucking buried. And the only thing that should exist is right or far right. And that's the only thing. Mass re-immigration, mass deportation. Every single fucking one of them can go. Every single fucking one, including the ones that got citizenship recently in the last like 5 years especially. But if you've come into, let's say, Europe in the last 20 years and you have a record, you're getting deported. Citizen or not, your citizenship gets revoked and you get fucking deported, bro. Or chain gangs, fuck it. Use them for something, at least. They've been mooching off the system for so long. Put them in hard chain gang labor. And if they die, harvest their organs and give them to some little kids that need them. Fuck them. That's what I would do. If I got voted in, that's what I'm putting them all in fucking prison. And then they will go work in extremely dangerous conditions where a majority of them will most likely die. And then the ones that die are getting their organs harvested and their shit donated to people that need that stuff. Yeah. That's just me, though.
This self-sufficient economy, okay? Does it make sense? All right, okay. All right.
Someone said, well, hold up, bro. Christians, what did you say? Christians from Syria got literally nowhere else to go. I don't give a fuck, bro. You don't have, just because you're a Christian from Syria, you deserve to live in Europe? Fuck off. I don't give a fuck what religious denomination you are. Europe is for Europeans. I love how they try to bring in this Christ cuck shit, but we're just good Christians. And bro, we'll send you weapons. Go fight. We'll send you weapons. You want armaments? You want to go fight for your freedom? Okay, then pick up a gun and get rid of the people killing Christians in your own country. The fuck? I don't have to have you come live next to me and shit because you're a Christian all of a sudden. What? The gates of Europe are just open to you? For what? Excuse me? No. Same shit with all the Africans getting slaughtered by Muslims, all the Christians there. Yeah, tragic, bro. Very. Innocent people dying, extreme tragedy. You're not fucking getting a ticket to Europe. And? Where the fuck were all of you when Europe was killing each other in world wars and all that shit? Were you just opened arms to everybody? Please, Europeans who need to run away. Fuck now, everybody's locking down their borders. When it happens to white people, the borders will be locked up. We don't want these white people here. Mexico already did that. Some Latin American countries are already tired of all these tourists. Asian countries already. The so-called, what do they call them? Not immigrants. They have a funny name. Jesus Christ, expats. All these expats that are gentrifying an area and turning it into wealthy, completely disconnected locales from what the locals can access. These little bubbles for expats, and the locals are getting mad. They'll fucking kick whites out immediately. But well, we got to accept the entire third fucking world, bro, for reasons what? I'm getting killed. I'm a Christian. Oh my God, I'm a refugee. Fuck off. I don't give a shit, bro. There's too many problems in the entire world. Go to China. Go fucking to Latin America. Go anywhere else but Europe, literally. Who cares? Always Europe, though. Always amongst whites. Did you notice that? Dude doesn't want to go to Dubai. Dude doesn't want to live in an Arab country, though. Dude doesn't want to go live in China or Korea or Japan. It's gotta be Europe. Any fucking ways. How about Europeans stop funding the rest of the fucking third world? Stop giving them money, close off the borders, let them die of dysentery. We got our own fucking problems. Jesus Christ.
At Rich Huba donated £4 and 99 pence. Romanian been in UK 11 years earning now 6k a month and being left with nothing and wondering about family kids. What can they do? What expectation IQ wise?
Yeah, well. It's getting harder and harder, bro. Did you save that money like a good boy and buy some fucking property in Romania? Because you could have retired. You've been there for 11 years. Hopefully you didn't blow it on fucking British women. Some other dumb shit. Left with nothing is rough.
So let us summarize. Okay. So in
yes, we did beg Poland to give us their Patriot systems, and Poland said no.
September 11th, 1991.
So how do you stay monetized? Saying there's nothing extreme about what I say. I'm not threatening everybody. I am allowed to my own opinion. You're not entitled to live in Europe just because you're a Syrian Christian. There's nothing against saying that. That's not illegal. Okay, we're not spreading hate here or anything. We have a right to live amongst our own as much as any other people. So what the fuck's the problem with that?
One, George H.W. Bush. He responds to the fall of the Berlin Wall, the collapse of Soviet Union by
I'm black and I don't give a fuck about an African. Bro.
That was funny. And there are three major pillars to the idea of the New World Order, okay?
They probably don't care about you either,
America
so it's
will
fine.
become the financial capital of the world. America will offshore resources and manufacturing.
That's what's funny, dude. When they find out, they really think my community is like all some white pasty dudes. You'd be surprised at how many blacks, Hispanics, and Asians watch me, dude. You would be fucking shocked. You'd be shocked, dude. That shit makes them, that blows their minds. They literally see like some fucking community post about, you know, some racial shit that's going on. It's just stats or whatever. Or we'll talk about racial stuff in the community, like in the live streams, because, hey, it's just interesting and why not? It's the truth, because we're sick of leftists and all this shit where they try to make, they try to censor you from speaking about the truth because it makes them uncomfortable. We're all supposed to be the same Marxist pieces of shit, literally. Whatever, dude. Whatever. This dude said, bro, I'm literally black right now. Literally. Some of the dudes that are donating right now and everything, we talk about guys in the community when we're having conversations, you know, off screen, the private conversations are from all over, black, Hispanic, whatever, anything else, literally mixed, something like that. And we're all chilling in the community calls on the school groups. We're just talking, bro, talking about race, talking about religion, talking about all the stuff you can't talk about out loud. Because there's some toad. How does he get away with saying such extreme things? There's no genetic basis for race. He's like that Indian dude. Just read him in there. It says, I'm black. I feel the same. I'm black. I watch you every day. There you go. Facts. I'm Hispanic. You'd be shocked, bro. Do you know what people, why they gravitate? We're just speaking honestly. Finally, bro. Do you know how good it feels to not be bullshitted by people? To be treated with respect as an equal and talked to like another human being. I'm not some bleeding heart liberal. I don't look down on you like you're some helpless fucking animal from the third world. That's what liberals do. They try to down talk you and act like you're less than, like you need saving. I just talk to you like you're just another guy. You're my equal. That's how I speak to you. I expect you to be able to have a conversation with me truthfully. And if you want to say some shit back about white people and the struggles whites are having, cool story, bro. Let's get into it. Because I can talk a lot of shit about white people too, and often do all the time. We just shit on some white dudes earlier for their fetish for Asian women. They weren't there for that, though. That's what I like. I like to be around people like that. My entire friend group is mixed. Literally. How fucking boring would it be to live amongst a friend group? Bro, you can't even speak like this to your own homies. Why? Because they're a different color and you got to perpetuate leftist ideology and we're all the same. Your lived experience is just the same and valid as mine. Fuck off, bro. We're different, dude. I don't know what it's like to be in your body, to live your life, to deal with your problems. Let's talk about it. Let's see. What's that shit like? And make some racist jokes here and there. Me and my homies make racist jokes all the time. Because it's funny, bro. Duh. The fuck? Everybody's got a thumb up their ass. Like, oh my God, you can't say that. Dude, the culture has been feminized so much. The gynocracy, the gynofascism we're living in. It's how women speak to each other. Tone policing. You can't say that. You can't say that. Bitch, go somewhere else then. This is our space. We're racist here as a people, all of us. Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, whoever else, Aborigines, what other kind of humans are there? We'll be happy being racist and making fun of each other. And then we're moving about our day, bro. No shit. We're all trying to live in peace. How can you live in peace with other people if you don't try to understand and talk honestly with each other? What the fuck? Gay, boring, gay, and fake. That's what that is. You're living a boring, gay, fake lifestyle. We get real.
To other places. And then America will focus primarily on finance, making Wall Street the center of the world, okay? The other idea is the idea of secular multiculturalism. So the world is divided, but what can unite everyone is...
Yeah, and then the other day, bro, shout outs to you, homie, if you're watching this in Arizona. I went to be a little fucking piglet. It was late at night, like 12-ish or some shit. Homie with, I don't even remember. Did he have dreads or whatever? Tatted up. Black dude. Working security at, what fucking gas station was that? Circle K. Bro, I'm looking like a bum. Grabbing shit to eat that I shouldn't. Little snacks here and there. Vibe coding out the fucking ass. And I'm about to walk out. I pay for my shit and I'm walking out. I was like, hey, love your podcast on YouTube, bro. Darkest motherfucker chilling, working. Midnight. No shade, no problems, all love. And that's what it was. And I was like, hey, thanks, brother. Appreciate the support. That was it. Went about my way. And people come up to me and do that shit all the time. Always surprisingly from different races too. All the time, bro. You would think it's just pasty white dudes. No. Literally get approached by people, all ethnicities. Because it's just fucking real, dude. Sick of the fake shit. Nothing but fake motherfuckers in this world. Nobody treats you with respect, dude, to talk to you like you're a fucking man. Just real. That shit is so, I hate people like that. Literally, one of the things I hate is being around someone that can't tell me the truth. You got to cut fake people out like that out of your life right away, dude. All they do is bring about your downfall. Fake motherfuckers that can't tell you to your face some real shit. Cut them out.
The love of money, the love of consumerism. So if we just focus on making money and buying things, then the world will be forever at peace. Okay?
At Poletic3 donated €2. You forgot EU basically took whole Africa resort.
Yeah. Sure thing, bro. Yeah, EU definitely took all of Africa's resources, give them boys reparations. Yeah, as if like the ground underneath their feet isn't fucking full of resources still. Still the richest in resources. Still, they got their own countries now. Literally. Still hasn't done shit with it. But okay. Send them trillions of dollars, dude. So it'll change sometime soon. Yeah. Vinty, thanks, bro. Why are people acting like this is the KKK? We've been here for the Claude coding and the stories. We know about PB&Js and the spell book. Yeah, they don't know about the spell book and the PB&Js. That's old school shit, bro. That's way back. They don't know none of that shit. They came on. These are all the newbies. These are all the NPCs that found up. They woke up after Trump and all this other shit, and they're like, oh my God. Oh my God, this guy's fucking crazy. He says some crazy shit. Where have you been?
So we have to let go of borders. We have to let go of community. We have to let go of identity and focus more on consumerism, okay? And the last idea is global domination, where in order for global trade to happen, America will provide security for all. No one has to fight it anymore because America will guarantee global peace. If anyone rises to challenge this order, Pax Americana, then America will go destroy it. Okay? So these are the three main pillars of the New World Order as announced by George H.W. Bush on September 11, 1991. Okay? Trump World Order is a response to this New World Order. Basically, what Trump is saying, and what he's been saying for a long time is, why should America pay for the defense of other nations? Why should America have to be the consumer of last resort for everyone? Why are Americans paying for everything so that Europeans can have their welfare and their pension? Everyone's taking advantage of America, and it's destroying America. So let us change the New World Order to the Trump World Order, okay? And how do you do that? Well, you move America from a focus on finance to a focus on resources and manufacturing, okay? Basically, you believe the world is going to permanent war, and so you provide the resources and in manufacturing in order to facilitate this world war. Meanwhile, America has become Fortress America. It can hide behind its fortress, continental fortress.
Yeah, but you see, the problem with this world order shit is it doesn't happen because America wanted it to happen. We're only in the Iran war doing all this shit because it benefits Iran. It's not like this is some master plan America's maneuvering on the globe in geopolitics. No, it's like we literally are taken over by AIPAC, Israeli influence. Nobody in Congress could vote anything without AIPAC agents talking to them. Our president took $250 million from Miriam Adelson. The prime minister of Israel, Netanyahu, just visits the White House like it's his fucking place to take a shit. And then shit just starts popping off once he leaves. Isn't that funny? On and on it goes, dude. Come on, big dog. I like the video so far, but yeah, this is making it seem like this is America's master plan, or just... Come on, man.
And it's protected by two oceans, right? Okay? So this makes sense. Multiculturalism doesn't work. It leads to stupidity such as DEI, woke politics.
We can't even leash Israel. This is our master plan.
Transgenderism. It's all retarded. Let's focus on what makes us proud to be Americans, which is Christian nationalism, okay? Our love of the white race, our nation, and God. Okay? So no more of this multiculturalism. No more immigration. No more open borders. No more Democratic Party. Let's just focus on being Christian nationalists, okay? Love the United States, love of Christianity, love of the white race. And the last idea is, why should America pay to protect the world? Screw Pax Americana, let's just do MAGA, okay? What is MAGA? MAGA is national rejuvenation. Let's make America great again by rebuilding America's manufacturing industry, by exploiting the infinite resources that God has given America in order to make sure every American has a decent life, okay? All right. So again, I understand Trump is an idiot. Trump has launched America into this stupid war in the Middle East. Trump has pissed off NATO. Trump has pissed off all of America's allies. So he's a retard. But if the goal was to destroy the American empire, destroy the global economy, and rebuild America for the benefit of Americans, then Trump is a genius. And he may go down in history as America's greatest president. Okay?
I absolutely fucking not.
Any questions?
Good theory, though. It's interesting. Yeah. Steel man.
Putin and Trump know that the world will collapse. And the question is, how do they know this? And the answer is because it's so obvious, okay? So, for the longest time, America started...
yeah. It's a cool little steel man argument, I guess, if your IQ is below fucking 85, but it doesn't take into account that once the Democrats get into power, the corporatists win again. So then America is not industrializing shit, and it's not nationalizing shit. There's no nationalism, nationalist resurgence. It took a shit already. Corporations are going to keep importing millions of third worlders. They're going to pay them half of their actual wages that they should be paying them. Americans are going to get replaced. Oracle just fired how many tens of thousands of Americans, and already we're going to replace them with AI plus third worlders. They're going to hire. They're going on a hiring spree for foreign workers. Oracle doing that right now as we speak. Yeah, you're being replaced. It's true. It is. It's because you economically don't make sense anymore. You're getting in the way of profitability for companies. You're in the way of their bottom line. Do you understand? It's all money, dude. It's all money. All that it's ever been is money. This game is always tied to money and the power it lends itself. That's what this is. Crazy. What a fucking world, dude. All right, let's move it in. Lateral move. Protecting against gold diggers. We'll do this one last, actually. And then we'll go over on Kick.
I'm Dr. Orion Taraban, and this is PsycHacks, Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is protecting against gold diggers. So I do a lot of consultations these days with successful men. Some of them have never been married. Some of them are recently divorced, but they all tend to be men of means. And one of the recurring concerns that I hear from these men is, how do I know if the woman I'm dating only wants me for my money? Spoiler alert, women like rich men, though they often like to minimize the importance of his money so she doesn't feel like she owes him anything, which is straight out of a narcissist's playbook, by the way, devaluing.
What's interesting is most relationships now have devolved into like situationships or purely transactional, like sugar baby stuff. Most women today expect to get something. Dinner dates, money, paying off some bills, some shit. How are you going to pay my bills? What are you going to do to get me a little money? How are you going to make my life right? You're a fucking sugar baby. Prostitute by another name, just with one client. And these chicks have a couple of these guys like this. And then there's the whole simping epidemic where guys will just pay for access to a woman just to be able to be in her DMs. Yeah, she took a legion of men. I'm going to make that shirt. I think I already have the general idea outlined. She took a legion of men, and it's like that meme of the guy. It's like a cartoon, a little stick figure of the guy, something like that, not stick figure, but a basic 2D cartoon of a guy on his knees handing a woman a ring. And then at the bottom, the text says, and you married her. So I don't know if the backdrop around that should be an actual Roman legion, you know, like faded off in the distance, a little bit opaque. But that's funny. I'm going to make that soon. I have to design it. Yeah, she took a whole legion of men and you married her, bro. Right.
As someone takes. In any case, women absolutely date up status hierarchies. So men at the top of these hierarchies, to some extent, do need to use their wealth and status and lifestyle to attract women. However, if they lean into that too heavily, then they'll increase the chances of attracting the wrong kind of women, namely gold diggers. That is, women who don't really care about the men in question, but who simply want to extract as many resources from them as possible. Orion, they ask me, how can I protect myself from these gold diggers? And on the surface, this seems like a legitimate concern, just like it might be a legitimate concern of women to defend themselves against fuckboys. That is, men who don't really care about the women in question, but who simply want to extract sex from them. Like it's the same concern, only gendered. Women are concerned that they're just being used for their bodies, and men are concerned that they're just being used for their resources. However, frankly, it's actually pretty easy to tell who's a gold digger and who's a fuckboy, which is why I said it's only a legitimate concern on the surface. These people are generally not super spies. They're not running some crazy effective undercover sting operation. In the vast majority of cases, they are incredibly easy to spot because they tell on themselves all the time. So worrying about gold diggers is kind of like worrying about being run over by a very slow-moving train. It's only going to happen if you ignored all the whistles and flashing lights and lingered on the tracks for a very long time. So, don't do that. And I'll tell you the telltale sign of a gold digger, the big flashing light at the end of this episode. First, let me briefly discuss how to date if you're a man of means. This is a problem, but let's be real, it's definitely a good problem to have. Wealth, status, and lifestyle are all generally attractive to women. That said, if you haven't yet mastered seduction and learned to stimulate a woman's emotions, you will likely heavily rely on these things as attraction proxies. As previously discussed, attraction proxies are things that men dangle in front of women in the hope or expectation that they will serve as shortcuts to sexual intimacies. It's just like fishing. The type of bait you use will largely determine the type of fish you catch. Lead with money, and you'll catch gold diggers. However, if you hide your money and status and lifestyle, unless you also happen to be very attractive, you will likely find yourself competing with the undifferentiated mass of men. And what's the point of that? So you'll need to strike a balance here. The balance that we're looking for is similar to a successful job interview. Imagine you're being interviewed for a position at a new company. If you play it too cool, if you downplay your skills and talents and experience out of the misguided belief that doing so somehow makes you virtuous or humble, if, in a nutshell, you walk out of the room without leaving the impression that you're the man for the job, then, my friend, you're not going to get picked. And because you didn't show up in the right way, you ended up doing both you and the company a potential disservice. On the other hand, if you come in and just start crowing like the cock of the walk, if you just rattle off your accomplishments in a ham-fisted way, if, in a nutshell, you arrogantly assume that just because you have X, Y, and Z, that you're entitled to the job, then, my friend, you're actually more likely to be picked than the first guy. Like, no one wants to hear that, but it's true. In general, it's better to err on the side of being the arrogant douchebag than the humble self-effacer, at least when it comes to the early stages of professional development and sexual relationships with women. But don't get me wrong. I'm not recommending that you become an arrogant douchebag either. It turns out that there's a lot of space between those two extremes. Fortunately, there are more than just these two options. So how do you handle your wealth and status if you have it? As I've said in my private community, and you guys should check out my private community because there's a lot of things I can say there that I can't say on YouTube. Links in the description, right? As I've said in my private community, if you're fortunate enough to have a Porsche, the best place for it is in the background. If you're interested in taking your really rich...
what I find insane is how arrogant all these YouTubers act because they finally caught on now after like 10 plus years, and now they want to talk trash to anyone who hasn't. Like they didn't just change up. What specifically? Caught on to what? The red pill?
People aren't sitting on the hoods of their cars and pointing at their ornaments. And they don't do it for the same reason that folks in the middle class aren't trying to flex their Hondas. For both groups of people, it's just their car. That is, really rich people are so used to having a Porsche that it's nothing special. It's just their car. It gets them from point A to point B. It's not their identity. It's not a perpetual subject of conversation. It is not something they devote an inordinate amount of time or attention or energy to. It's their car. Okay? Now, the Porsche is a metaphor, guys. If you're fortunate enough to have some of the good things in life...
Look, it's like, dude, this is what happened with society. All the hot chicks are usually sugar babies. Like, how do I explain this? Because society rewards that kind of shit. Let me explain this. The chicks that are not sugar babies or leveraging their beauty in any way are usually the fucking ugly chicks that nobody wants anyways. We live in a society that's normalized the sugar lifestyle, the transacting your body for things you want so much that any girl with any actual beauty is, I wouldn't even say motivated, but is pulled so strongly in order to take advantage of that opportunity. And it's been so normalized that so many of them do. So it's like everywhere you look, when you see a decently hot chick, she's probably a fucking sugar baby to somebody. She is most likely trading her puss for something to some guy. She's been some rich dude's play, something like that. A lot of these young chicks, dude, you would be surprised. They constantly consume this social media bullshit, toxic feminine dating stuff. All of them telling you how to get the most out of a man, how to get your sugar from a man, how to find a man with money, you know, and how to buy you gifts, how to get your man to simp on you. There's nothing but this kind of content being pushed on women. Is just how to extract resources from men. Always boils down to trading your puss for it. That's really what it is. So now the youngest of these women, especially the beautiful ones, are brought up into this world where trading your body for things is normal. That's why you have transactional relationships. They're so normal today. That's why you have sugar babies. It's so normalized today. That is why so many dudes, by the way, have normalized like paying bitches just to acknowledge them. So you got dudes in comment sections of women dropping money on their Cash App, you know, dropping money in their DMs, just paying them because hello, beautiful, just want to let you know how special you are. The fucking losers, bro. So it's on both sides of the aisle. Men, yes, it's incentivized by men. Society has normalized it and men incentivize it because it's the men's money that make them do this shit. So if you're a pretty woman, the incentive is just too much to bear. Dude, you can't. The pool is too strong. Why not get shit? If this guy's going to offer me stuff and he really doesn't expect much, hey, this one here will offer me this and I don't even have to fuck him every day. It's just like once a month. That's essentially all your young in their prime women. That's what they're like. It's brutal, dude. So that's why dating is so fucked up. That's just one of the aspects in society that the mainstream hasn't even started talking about. That's becoming the new normal in dating. It's crazy. Dating, what dating means to fucking old people, these boomers, they have no idea. For them, if you explain to them this and what it's really like, they'll call this shit prostitution by a different name.
Then put them in the background. Like, make sure they're in the background, but never put them in the foreground. Why? Because putting the good things in the background suggests to anyone with eyes that you're so used to living that kind of life that you feel no particular need to draw attention to that facet of it. And trust me, people will notice. People will notice that there's a Porsche in the background. You know what I'm saying? Vince Lombardi would tell his players, when you get into the end zone, act like you've been there before. The same thing goes for wealth, status, and lifestyle. Act like you're used to having them, even if you're not yet. This communicates that the end zone is actually where you belong. Okay, so let's say that you followed my advice. You've put your wealth and status in the background, and you've succeeded in attracting a woman, or even better, women. What do you do now? How do you defend yourself against the bad actors? It's simple. A mentor of mine once told me, Orion, I don't give him the money. I just show it to him. And this is the easiest, most straightforward, most foolproof way to defend yourself against gold diggers. Listen carefully. All you have to do is never, ever, 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 ever separate your money from yourself. I'll say it again for the people in the back. Never, ever, 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 ever separate your money from yourself. What does this mean? This means that access to your money must be isomorphic with access to you. Invite her into your frame. While she's there, at your discretion, she will enjoy comfortable travel and delicious foods.
At Death Ice Enough donated $5. What countries have the best and worst selection of women for anything other than just sex?
The least westernized, the better. It just goes like that. And then there are asterisks. So you got to think, okay. So there is different shades of obviously woke. There's different shades of how like deep into the Western ideology countries are, right? So level 1 is like America. Level 1 would be like Sweden and, you know, shit like that. Level 2, you got these countries that are like starting in the Balkans, Croatia. And then level 3, you have something like Romania. And then level 4 is like Russia. And then level 5 is like, yes, Southeast Asia, something like that. Level 6 is like Central Asian countries, you know, level 7, blah, 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 blah. So essentially, once you figure that out, depending, I'm not naming all of them, but in general, you know what I mean. Within these countries, though, you have to understand that the capitals are the worst. The capitals represent something with the asterisk. If you go to, it could be a level 4 country, it doesn't matter. If you can go somewhere that's considered more conservative on the spectrum. So if you're following the spectrum, know that each country has this asterisk, and the asterisk is always cities. Something happens with people in the cities. In the cities, you get these degenerates. In the cities, they're extremely liberal-minded. The city people think they're better than the country people who have their, essentially, the country people are like the founding stock of the country, the real rugged ones, the real ones with actual tradition, with knowledge that is great for family building, with character that you're looking for, values. But these fucking city people, when you go and travel to these countries that may be conservative overall, and you go into the liberal hellholes that are known as cities, you're going to get degenerates. It skips and it goes just to tier 1 again. So you're never going to get away from it if you do what most of the passport bros do, which is just travel to the cities. You have to go into the small countryside, the local areas to find something decent. And I mean, find something decent because everybody's got a phone, everybody's got social media. The degeneracy has spread far and far away. But your best odds at finding something decent is you got to go to the countryside where there are more numbers of these so-called humble, down-to-earth, grounded people. And hopefully you find somebody there that's not damaged into fucking meth or got abused sexually or who the fuck knows, some other weird shit. You got to... It's a needle in a haystack if you try the city shit. But you can make the haystack much smaller if you go into the countryside. You can then make the haystack much smaller if you go into different parts of the city. Sorry, in the countryside, small regional towns, and vet for traditional families. Because not every family raises good people. It's just, it is what it is. Where would I go? Fuck, I went, for me, my best choice, if I had to choose, obviously I'm already out the market, but I would have naturally picked Eastern Europe, the Balkans, because I was partially raised there. I could speak the language. I blend in with the people easily. I am one of them. So my move to Romania would have been, should it have been for women and permanent like that, would have been absolutely like, that's the first place I'm going, period. Yeah, I am of the mindset that you need to lower the amount of barriers in your relationship as much as possible. And that means going somewhere where you can fit in. Yeah. Ethnicity is super important. A lot of people just think that you can blow past that and, it doesn't matter, dude. The exoticism is a benefit if you're looking for just short-term sex. That's it. If you just want sex, dude, you could be any race, travel to any country where you stand out, and there's plenty of women that have a fetish for fucking foreign men. And you'll get laid plenty. I mean, it won't be top-notch, high-quality shit like this, like traditional women. If that's what you're looking for, you're not getting that, of course. But if you just want to have fun, dude, yeah, nobody here is going to be the dick police. To tell you the truth, you could do fucking well in Europe, depending on what parts of Europe you go to. If you're a Latino man, if you're a black guy, if you're whatever the fuck, it doesn't matter. If you just stand out, there are plenty of whores that you can fuck. It's not hard at all. Now, if you're talking relationships, long-term, family, being accepted by the family, all that shit, your ethnicity matters then. It starts to matter way more. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. So it's like pick and choose, dude, your path. Are you going down the player route, just fucking? Or are you going down the long-term route, you want a family kind of shit? And so it depends. Each strategy requires a different tool set. So I wasn't interested in just pumping and dumping. I could have been on camera and showed you pumps and dumps. Not a fucking problem, bro. Be a degenerate. It's not hard to do. You imagine me going in like Southeast Asia or even going, I would have loved to go to Sweden and the Nordics too. I would have loved to just travel. You see what that fucking Russian dude did in Africa? He's just smashing chicks left and right. There's like a Russian dude recording everything with his Google glasses. Dude's just literally telling African women, like, what were they, Nigerian or whatever, where he did that shit? Just get in, come with me. Married, not married, didn't matter. Dude was just raw dogging, smashing black chicks left and right in Africa. Holy fuck. They like chased him out. They tried to get him arrested in the country. That shit was all over. It was Kenya. Yeah, I was in Kenya. Dude, that guy, they just love white dudes in Africa, bro. It's crazy. And then the African dudes were in the comments saying, like, they worship white men and they make us do everything and all this shit. And it was fuck crazy. He did it in Ghana, too. Yeah, it's insane, bro. The exoticism shit is insane. Yeah, you should watch this. Like some Russian dude. Bro, just filming like homemade videos and selling them on his like private community or whatever as exclusive content. Fuck.
Yeah, Cooking donated $2. Make shame shameful again.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, getting a quality person is hard, man. I'm not going to lie to you. It's fucking difficult. Yeah, he filmed all that shit. Dude, he was walking around with his Google Glass, whatever. He filmed everything. Literally picking up chicks left and right. It was gross, too. Later on, brother. We'll see you on the next one. Yeah. That shit was crazy. I think he ended up getting AIDS or some shit. I don't know. I can't remember. He ended up getting some fucking disease. I'm telling you, the dude's just sticking his dipping his stick in anything that moved, bro. He had no qualms about. He wasn't thinking she's a 2, she's a 3, this a 8. He didn't give a fuck, dude. He was just like looking at a woman, you come here. And bro, they were rolling with him like that. I was like, holy shit, it's like shooting fish in a barrel out here. Kenya, what the fuck? Dude. Yeah, and the Kenyans were upset. They're like, what the fuck, bro? This dude just came in here and just mopping up. Obviously, it wasn't high tier shit, but geez Louise, bro. Have some dick standards for once. Fucking hell, your meat is gonna fucking rot off. This dude has radioactive meat now. That's because he's being a fucking animal. Holy crap. Fucking hell. Yeah. All right, let's chill for a sec. We're done. It's 3 hours, boys. We were supposed to get on Kick an hour and a half ago. We fucked up. That video was like an hour long. Shit took forever to get through. African Clav. No, he was something else. Radioactive meat. Bro was an incel in Russia and then became the fucking poon slayer in Africa, yeah. Ridiculous. You gotta have some standards for your meat, boys. You can't do that shit. Some of you guys are struggling. You're thirsty. Brothers are starving out here, dude. It's like finding water in a desert. You need to relax. Christ.
At Rotten Melon Productions donated $9.99. My ex-wife is white Italian. That woman I am traumatized from. My new girl straight from Tijuana but American citizenship. Got lucky she's a widow and my age 37. Sexy, chill. I'll never go back.
Hey, good job, brother. Find your happiness. If she makes you happy, she makes you happy. Who the fuck is anybody else to tell you otherwise, right? Hey, at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
At the Carousel Painter donated €2. Dude's descent directly to Wuhan.
No, we're sending special forces to secure that radioactive meat stick, bro. He's a threat to humanity. Send Delta Force. We need to secure that shit, bro, before he spreads that fucking radioactive shit everywhere else. 80% of men are starving. Yeah, it's a sad state of affairs, to be completely honest. Hey, dude, world's crazy. But we got a bunch of other episodes to cover. God, that took forever. So tomorrow we'll start off light with Karen here. Look at her. Oh, you can't see. There you go. We'll start off with this Karen or something tomorrow. We'll see. She's like, no, don't arrest me. You're going straight to jail. Something like this, breaking down double standards, Steven Crowder. That looked interesting. Something with Ilhan Omar. She had an explosive admission. We have no idea what. But this is what we have on the docket. How money works. We're going to have to watch this one on Kick exclusive, though, because the music. A little bit of talk about Israel. Oh, and a good one here from Glenn Deason. I don't know if you guys see this channel, but it's a good discussion. Joe Kent was on there talk about. That's another hour-long episode. We're probably not going to get through much then. Yeah. We have a lot of stuff, dude. I'm going to chill for a couple more days. See what's going on with the Iran war. Get some new updates for you guys on that. Interesting stuff with the markets. I think I'm going to start tying in the market data way more to the Iran updates because, you know, I think the economic side of it, people aren't really covering that much, tying into the broader market and what's going on. Most people are either doing extremely like narrow political takes or keeping it domestic, what's going on with the administration. But I want to tie in some of these broader concepts in. So I'll do more research into the markets. I know people were loving the ones with the oil. What we called on oil happening is happening. I don't think crude is moving now, right? In the United States because it's Good Friday. Markets are closed. Yeah, markets are closed in the US, extended weekend. And WTI basically cut off at 113. So yeah. Crude is like, yeah, crude's almost at 113, yeah. So, dude, what was the peak? 120? Like 2 weeks prior to that, when oil spiked before Trump started messing with the futures markets? I want to say it was 118. My graph is fucked up. There we go. 119. Yeah, 119.559 is what I have. 119.559 was the high. We're only a couple dollars off. Hey, dated Brent is at 141. That's the actual physical price. The physical price of crude right now. So WTI will definitely catch up to that very soon. Hey, 150. It's coming. $4 gas, national average, 7% interest rates. They're coming. I wouldn't be surprised if we go above very quickly $4 national. I did that. I did that.
At Death Ice Enough donated $2. It was never about regime change.
Of course it wasn't. It never is, bro. That's just what they sell the people. Remember they were selling us, we gotta save the Iranians. The communists killing them all. The IRGC are terrorists. Do you see thousands of them are dying? And then we're now the ones bombing civilian infrastructure. We're bombing laboratories. We're bombing colleges. Or bombing bridges. Or bombing shit that civilians are using. It's not military targets anymore. Hey, I thought we were trying to save the Iranian people. Why are we bombing them now? That's kind of crazy. We're bombing like vaccine institutes and shit. All right, cool, dude. Coolio. I gotta go fill up on gas today. I gotta eat. I gotta eat and get to the gym, boys. All right, let's go touch some grass. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. Appreciate all the donations, the super chats. Thank you to everybody, of course, that's been getting the mugs, the shirts, all that stuff, the hats. There's the Top Goy one. We'll be coming out with that new merch soon. Appreciate everybody that tunes in on Kick, especially everybody in the private community joining us on the calls. If you haven't, check out the second channel. Dude, it's got heat. If you're sick of this and you think it's doomery or negative, or check the second channel out. We talk about different topics there. Making money, learning new tools, products to use, how to get ahead in the world. And so it's got a little bit of something for everybody. But if you want the real deal, just watch both. So yeah, thank you again, everybody. Your support means everything. And hope you guys have a good weekend. We'll be seeing you tomorrow, same time. I think around 12 Pacific. Around the same time we started today. It's currently 10:30 p.m. in Ghana. Shout outs to Ghana if you're there. And yeah, take care, guys. Oh yeah, happy Easter, of course. Duh. How can I forget? Happy Easter to everybody. Well, we'll be on. We'll try to be on. I know most people will be home doing a bunch of nothing, not celebrating Easter, not doing shit. So we'll try to get on and stream a little bit. What's a few hours? All right. Enough. Take care, everybody. Put some good food in your body. Start moving the meat sack. Get the blood flowing. We'll see you tomorrow.